When Lu Huizhou's junior schoolmate once again used a gastroscopy as an excuse to shave all my hair off, I didn't make a scene like a shrew this time. Instead, I calmly took a hat from my bag, put it on, and said to Lu Huizhou, "Thank you for the anniversary gift. Remember to come home for dinner tonight." With that, I turned and left, ignoring the utterly bewildered look on Lu Huizhou's face. After all, in my past life, after I was so furious that I slapped his junior schoolmate twice, he had me committed to a psychiatric hospital that very night. While in the psychiatric hospital, I was found to be 2 months pregnant. After Lu Huizhou found out, he had my baby aborted. He said, "Children born to psychiatric patients are often mentally ill themselves. If we kept this child, Xinjin would be unhappy." I managed to escape with great difficulty. I wanted to take my mother and start a new life under assumed names, but then my mother fell gravely ill, and only Lu Huizhou could perform the surgery. I went to beg him, but his junior schoolmate had her people break my legs. We missed the window for the operation, and my mother passed away, penniless and crippled. I was left with no choice but to live under a bridge, keeping company with the rats. Just a few months later, when I was burning up with fever and on the brink of death, Lu Huizhou appeared. Yet, he thought I was just putting on a pitiful act to win his sympathy. In the end, I died in that bridge culvert, with not a soul around to claim my body. So you see, what good is dignity when your life is on the line? But Lu Huizhou actually chased after me. He grabbed my arm and tried to explain. Xinjin has always lacked affection since she was a child. Her personality is a bit unique, but she means no harm. She sees you as a real sister-in-law. That's why she's just teasing you like this. You're not going to be that petty, are you? I stopped in my tracks and looked at him. In my past life, he dragged me aside to explain things just like this. I was trembling with rage, but he accused me of making a mountain out of a molehill. In my previous life, when I came to, I saw Wan Xinjin clutching a handful of hair, doubled over with laughter. Once I realized what had happened, I rushed forward and slapped Wan Xinjin twice. Lu Huizhou shoved me to the ground, then pulled the tear-streaked Wan Xinjin into his arms. He turned back to me, his voice icy. "You've frightened Xinjin." That evening, he cooked me a lavish dinner and said gently, "Xiao Wan, please calm down, just stay there for a few days. Once Xinjin is no longer afraid, I'll come and get you out." That very night, I was locked away in a psychiatric hospital, where I remained for 3 years. During those 3 years, he and Wan Xinjin watched fireworks over Victoria Harbor, saw the northern lights in Iceland, and fed pigeons in Paris. My social media feed was flooded with their photos together, all beaming with radiant smiles. 2 months into my confinement, I was examined and found to be pregnant. Back then, my heart swelled with joy. I was certain that with a child on the way, Lu Huizhou would come to take me away from this place. Yet, he never showed up. Instead, it was Wan Xinjin who came. She had me strapped to a hospital bed and performed an abortion. "You're pregnant, and I'm not happy about it. Brother Huizhou told me to get rid of it. He said children born to someone with a mental illness are likely to be mentally ill too." I begged her through my tears, but I still couldn't save my child. Even after being reborn, thinking of my child who died before ever being born still brings a pang of sorrow to my heart. Seeing that I didn't respond, Lu Huizhou thought I was giving him the silent treatment. He shook off my hand impatiently. "How many times do I have to tell you? If it weren't for Xinjin's father's help back then, I would never have achieved what I have today. Can't you just do this for me? It's just a haircut, it'll grow back." As her sister-in-law, can't you be a little more understanding? Seeing the impatience on his face, a bitter smile tugged at the corner of my mouth. In my past life, after we lost the child, Lu Huizhou seemed to forget I ever existed. He never showed up again, yet, he still refused to release me from the psychiatric hospital. Every day, I could hear the nurses gossiping about Lu Huizhou's romantic escapades with his junior and their pitying whispers about me. In the 3rd year, I finally managed to escape. The first thing I did was seek out my mother and I changed our names and started a new life together. Life was hard, but there was hope, until my mother started coughing, and there was blood in it. I took her to every hospital I could find, but the answer was always the same. Only Lu Huizhou could perform this surgery. I tried everything, raising money, seeking out other specialists, even praying to the gods. In the end, I realized there was only one path forward. I returned to that city and stood outside Lu Huizhou's villa, hoping to ask him to perform the surgery for my mother. After all, my father had lost his life saving him, and at my father's funeral, he had sworn to protect my mother and me for the rest of his life. But before I could see him, Wan Xinjin came out. I begged her to let me see Lu Huizhou. She looked down on me with contempt and said, "Get on your knees, bark like a dog, and crawl between my legs, then I'll let you see him." I clenched my fists, but for my mother's sake, I had no choice. Yet after I did as she asked, she broke her promise. She had my legs broken and threw me out. I didn't give up, leaning on my crutches. I waited at the gate for Lu Huizhou for 3 days, and finally, he came, but he wouldn't believe it. "Xiao Wan, what's with the crutches? Playing the victim, you're truly vicious, even cursing your own mother." In the end, Mom never got her surgery, she passed away. I had no money for a proper funeral. After having her cremated, I carried the urn to a river outside the city, found an old tree, and buried her ashes there. My leg hadn't healed, and my money was all gone. I had no choice but to take shelter under a bridge. There were rats, stray dogs, and other homeless people there. I spent my days scavenging for food in trash bins and my nights staring blankly at the river. My health kept deteriorating. During those days when the fever wouldn't break, I thought I was going to die. And then, Lu Huizhou appeared. He stood outside the bridge's arch, a stark and jarring presence against the backdrop. When he saw me, shock flickered in his eyes, only to be swiftly replaced by disgust. "Xiao Wan, how much longer are you going to keep tormenting me like this?" I wanted to say no. To tell him I was truly ill, to say my mother was dead, but my sickness had stolen my voice. He stood there for a moment, then turned and walked away. A few days later, a heavy snow fell. I didn't make it, dying on the very day he married Ruanzhenzhen. With not a soul to claim my body, the more I thought about it, the sadder I became, so I reined in my emotions. I truly don't blame her, and I'm not angry either. I'm just in a hurry to find my mom. "You should head back now. Ruanzhenzhen is waiting for you." He hesitated, looking at me, but finally turned and walked away. Watching his retreating figure, I felt no further attachment. I turned, got in my car, and drove towards my mother's place, too. The thought of seeing my mom again filled my heart with joy, but worried that my shaved head would upset her. I stopped at a wig shop first to buy and put one on. As soon as I arrived at my mom's old house, I saw her busy figure. Mom's face lit up with a smile when she saw me. Wan, you're back. Oh, and you got a new haircut. My girl looks good in any hairstyle. By the way, where's Huizhou? Why didn't he come back with you for lunch?" A pang of sadness washed over me. "Mom, something came up at his office, so he won't be joining us for lunch. Let's go ahead and eat. Oh, by the way, Mom, I booked you a health checkup for tomorrow. We'll go together." I already scheduled tomorrow's checkup on my way here. I couldn't give Mom a good life in my past life. In this one, I just hope she stays healthy. In the afternoon, I went to the office as usual. Lu Huizhou walked in with Ruanzhenzhen. "This is Director Ruan's daughter, also my junior from university. She's in her 3rd year of graduate school and will be interning here. Please make sure she's well taken care of." The manager promptly stood up to greet them, his face plastered with an ingratiating smile. "Don't worry, Mr. Lu, having Miss Ruan intern with us is truly an honor." After that, he arranged for Ruanzhenzhen to sit at the workstation next to mine and asked me to mentor her. No one at the company knew about my relationship with Lu Huizhou. Even though I had been married to him for 5 years, he had never publicly acknowledged me. Outsiders only knew he had a wife, but no one knew his wife was Xiao Wan. He used to always say, "As long as we have love for each other, that's all that matters. I promised your father I'd protect you. There's just too much going on at the hospital, and I'm afraid something might happen. I don't want you getting caught up in any gossip." After Lu Huizhou finished giving his instructions, he turned and left without a moment's hesitation, his gaze never lingering on me for even a second. After he left, Ruanzhenzhen kept bragging to me about all the gifts Lu Huizhou had given her. "Look, Wan, this is the latest limited edition bag. There are only 5 in the whole country. Huizhou went through so much trouble to get it for me." I looked, and it was the very thing I had told Lu Huizhou I adored. Back then, he had just grunted an hum without even looking up. So he had actually been listening. It's just that the gift ended up in someone else's hands. If this were my past life, I would have definitely confronted Lu over this. Huizhou and I had a huge fight, but now, I just said calmly, "It suits you." Seeing I didn't react much, Ruanzhenzhen pursed her lips and said nothing more. When I got home that night, after washing up and getting into bed, I fell asleep quickly. In my past life, I spent my final months living under a bridge, barely getting a wink of sleep. Now, being able to sleep in a comfortable bed, I just want to savor every moment of it. That night, I had a very long, drawn-out dream. I dreamed of when I first met Lu Huizhou, back when he was neither a renowned medical expert nor a company CEO, back then, in the eyes of the neighbors, he was just a reclusive little boy with a congenital heart condition. No one paid him any mind. His parents were in a rush to divorce, and neither wanted to be saddled with such a burden. That day, 8-year-old Lu Huizhou was crouched on the front steps. A group of children had gathered around him, laughing and jeering as they threw pebbles in his direction. "Jinx, sickly weakling, your own parents don't even want you." Stones pelted him. He hugged his knees, his eyes red and swollen, yet he stubbornly bit his lip to keep from crying out. I happened to be passing by. In my youth, I couldn't stand to see anyone being bullied. I spread my arms and stepped in front of Lu Huizhou. What do you think you're doing? Back then, I was growing fast, towering over other kids my age. The group of children saw me, got a little scared, and scattered with a lot of shouting. I walked over, bent down, and smiled at him. Are you hungry? He didn't answer, but his stomach let out a perfectly timed growl. I pulled him along toward home. At first he resisted, but I dragged him anyway. In the end, he couldn't win against my stubbornness, and I brought him home. My mother, seeing how pitiful he looked, made him a steaming bowl of noodles. He hung his head and ate in big, hurried mouthfuls, his tears falling into the broth and swallowed down with the noodles. From that day on, he became a part of our family. He had a heart condition, so he couldn't roughhouse like the other kids. He would always sit quietly on the stone bench in our courtyard. Once, when my parents were away on a business trip, they asked my grandmother to look after me, but she couldn't make it because something came up. It was just the two of us at home. I came down with a bad flu and my fever spiked to 40 degrees Celsius. He stayed by my bedside without leaving for a moment, taking care of me, replacing the cool towel on my forehead, and clumsily cooking porridge for me. He nearly set the kitchen on fire. I was burning up and delirious, but I remember him gripping my hand tightly, saying over and over, "Don't be afraid, I'm here." Later, when the fever broke, I asked him, what if I had really died that day? He was silent for a long time, then said, "Then I would have gone with you." He said this with a completely serious expression. We were only 12 years old at the time, and so, we grew up together. My parents used their life savings to pay for his heart surgery. The operation was a success, and he could finally live like any other child. He had excellent grades, particularly in the sciences. On the day the college entrance exam results were released, he was successfully admitted to medical school as the top scorer in the entire province. However, on the day he went to collect his admission letter, a runaway truck came barreling toward him. My father pushed him out of the way but couldn't save himself. At the funeral, Lu Huizhou knelt before my father's portrait for an entire day. With red-rimmed eyes, he swore to my mother and me, "Mom, Wan, I will protect you both with my life, for as long as I live." Later on, he became my husband. On the eve of our wedding, drunk, he held me and cried, Wan, if it weren't for you and Uncle Xia, I would have died long ago. I swear, I will be good to you for the rest of my life and give you the very best the world has to offer." He meant every word he said back then, and I truly believe he did, but in time, that genuine affection was worn down into mere routine, only to be softened again by another person's tears. The dream ended abruptly at that point. I opened my eyes. The sky was still not fully light, and the empty space beside me on the pillow served as a stark reminder that Lu Huizhou had not come home last night. He was always busy, always away from home, with an endless stream of surgeries to perform and meetings to attend. On the rare occasions he did return, he was utterly exhausted and would collapse into bed. I used to think it was just the inevitable hardship of his career taking off. It wasn't until I saw the photo of him and Wang Jinjin on social media that I understood. He wasn't short on time, he was just giving all of it to someone else. As I got up to wash my face, I looked at my wigged reflection in the mirror. The faint, lingering sting on my scalp was a sharp reminder of what had happened yesterday. 3. After a quick breakfast, I took my mom to the hospital for her checkup. The place was absolutely packed, so I just started scrolling through my phone out of boredom. Just then, Lu Huizhou called, "There's a gathering at the Peace Hotel at noon. Everyone's bringing their family, so come by yourself. Don't be late." I replied calmly, "Not today. I'm at a medical checkup with my mom." There was a brief silence on the other end of the line, then his voice suddenly rose, laced with undisguised impatience. "Xiao Wan, what are you making a fuss about now? Just because Jinjin played a little joke on you yesterday, you're going to run and complain to mom? Can you stop being so dramatic?" I could almost picture him right then. In the past, whenever he used that tone, I would feel a pang of anxiety and start questioning if I was really overreacting. Now, I just found it ridiculous. But I still patiently tried to explain things to him. "I really am at the hospital. Besides, you've never wanted to make our relationship public, have you? Everyone at your company thinks Ruanjinjin is the one you love, not me. Just take her with you. Lu Huizhou grew even angrier. Suppressing his rage, he shot back, are you blaming me? Who do you think I'm protecting by keeping it quiet? It's to keep you out of all that messy business, Xiao Wan, you're becoming more and more unreasonable. With that, he slammed the phone down. My mother had come to my side without me noticing. She looked at me with deep concern and asked, Wan, have you had a fight with Huizhou? I smiled at Mom. It's nothing, Mom. He just had a lunch meeting and wanted me to join, but I couldn't get away. It's fine, really. After the checkup, the doctor confirmed there was a tumor in Mom's breast, but it was benign. With proper management, it wouldn't develop into cancer, and I was 2 months pregnant. With the baby developing steadily, I let out a long sigh of relief. Thankfully, this time, everything was caught in time. In the days that followed, I would bring my mother for checkups from time to time, but then one day, my mother suddenly disappeared. I was thrown into a panic. I searched everywhere, but couldn't find her. As evening fell, I received a phone call. After a quick tidy-up, I hurried out the door. It was a woman's voice on the line, even though it was hushed. I could tell it was Ruanjinjin. When I arrived at the location Ruanjinjin had given me over the phone and pushed open the private room door, I saw my mother surrounded by 3 or 4 young men and women, being pressured to drink. Her face was flushed, her eyes darted about nervously, and the wine in her glass was being constantly refilled. Ruanjinjin was holding up her phone, filming with a beaming smile, saying, Auntie, you can really hold your liquor, have another glass. Trembling with rage, I rushed over and slapped Ruanjinjin hard across the face. Ruanjinjin covered her face, staring at me in shock. I glared at Ruanjinjin. Do you have any idea how severely allergic my mother is to alcohol? A single glass could kill her. Are you trying to murder her? Ruanjinjin's face paled for a moment, but she quickly put on that innocent look again. I didn't know. I just wanted to offer Auntie a drink. Didn't know. I let out a cold laugh. At last year's family dinner, my mother was rushed to the hospital after accidentally taking a sip of baijiu. You were right there. Ruanjinjin's friend impatiently shoved his chair back. Enough talk. You think you're in the right after hitting someone. With that, he aimed a kick straight at me. I tried to dodge to the side but slammed into the corner of the table, a sharp pain shooting through my abdomen. Just then, the private room door was violently kicked open. Lu Huizhou burst into the room. Four. His gaze swept over the chaos, landed on me clutching my stomach, and then shifted to Ruanjinjin, who was covering her face in tears. Ruanjinjin threw herself at Lu Huizhou the moment she saw him, her voice trembling with tears. Brother Huizhou, Sister Xiaowan suddenly rushed in and hit me, and even accused me of trying to harm Auntie. I was only trying to be kind. I leaned on the table, enduring the pain radiating from my lower abdomen. Lu Huizhou, my mom is allergic to alcohol. Ruanjinjin forced her to drink on purpose. Lu Huizhou frowned, his gaze shifting from the full glasses on the table to my mom, whose complexion was already looking off. Mom was having trouble breathing, and red hives began to appear on her neck. Lu Huizhou's face changed abruptly. He shoved Ruanjinjin, who was still leaning against him, aside and rushed to my mother's side. Mom, can you hear me? My mother nodded with great difficulty. Unable to speak, I had also passed out from the pain after hitting my stomach. Lu Huizhou quickly caught me. Seeing the blood flowing from beneath me, he frantically yelled at Ruanjinjin and her friends, who were standing frozen nearby, call an ambulance. Now, he tried to pick me up in a panic, but his arms were trembling. It took him 2 attempts to finally lift me into his arms. After arriving at the hospital, Lu Huizhou paced anxiously back and forth outside the emergency room. After what felt like an eternity, the door opened, the doctor removed his mask, his gaze sweeping over him. The adult is stable for now. Lu Huizhou jerked his head up, his eyes bloodshot. The baby, the doctor paused. The fetal heartbeat has stabilized, but there are signs of a threatened miscarriage. She needs bed rest for observation. Lu Huizhou's shoulders relaxed as he let out a sigh of relief. When I woke up, I found myself in a hospital bed. I tried to sit up, but a searing pain tore through my lower abdomen, forcing a sharp gasp from my lips. Lu Huizhou, who had been keeping vigil by the bed, immediately pressed a hand on my shoulder. Don't move, you just finished your examination, you mustn't move around. Ignoring the pain, I clutched desperately at his sleeve, my voice trembling. My mother, where is she? How is she? Tell me where she is. Fear washed over me, the image of my mother dying in the hospital corridor in my past life flashing before my eyes. Lu Huizhou was startled by my grip. but answered immediately, "Mom's in the next room, she's out of danger, I swear." He clasped my ice-cold hand in return, adding urgently, "The doctor said she got here in time. The allergic reaction is under control, she's just weak now and needs rest. I checked on her just a moment ago, she's asleep, take me to see her." I tried to throw off the covers, but the movement tugged at the 4 needle in my hand, sending a sharp sting through me. "Xiao Wan, listen to me." Lu Huizhou placed his hands firmly on my shoulders, forcing me to meet his gaze. "Mom is really okay, but you can't get out of bed right now. You're showing signs of a threatened miscarriage. The doctor said you need complete bed rest." The baby. My hand flew instinctively to my lower abdomen, the dull ache persisted, a stark reminder of what had just happened. Seeing that I had stopped insisting on getting out of bed, Lu Huizhou asked me softly, "Xiao Wan, you're pregnant, why didn't you tell me?" I turned my face away and said nothing. Why didn't I tell him? Probably because of what he said in our past life. Children born to someone with a mental illness are likely to be mentally ill too, or perhaps, every time I wanted to share my joy, he was always on the phone with Ruan Zhenzhen. Those lonely nights of waiting, those half-hearted concerns, had long since worn away any desire to share. "Does it even matter?" I said with a calm expression. "You always have something more important to do." Anyway, he looked up abruptly, his eyes rimmed red, his grip on my hand suddenly tightening. "That's not it." I didn't know. If I had only known sooner. I withdrew my hand from his tight grasp, looked out the window, and said softly, "Lu Huizhou, I'm exhausted, I need to rest." He was silent for a moment before replying, "All right, get some rest, I'll be right outside." Footsteps receded, and the door clicked softly shut. I closed my eyes and rested my hand gently on my abdomen. "My baby, I'm so sorry, I failed to protect you today, but I promise you this, in this lifetime, I will move heaven and earth to bring you safely into this world." As for the person outside the door, I don't know why Lu Huizhou has done a complete 180, why he suddenly cares about the child now, but it doesn't matter anymore. The Xiaowan who once loved Lu Huizhou died a long time ago. 5. I spent the following days in the hospital. Lu Huizhou arranged the best maternity ward for me, and my mother's tumor gradually shrank with regular checkups and traditional Chinese medicine treatment. Her color had returned, and she would often sit by my side, saying, "My child, we're going to be all right." The baby in my womb was doing well, too. At every checkup, the heartbeat was steady and strong. Lu Huizhou came to see me every day, but every time he came, I would close my eyes. His mother would wait by the hospital room door and whisper to him, "Wanwan's asleep. She just took her medicine, so don't wake her." He would then stand at the door for a moment, peer through the glass, and finally leave the things he'd brought before slipping away quietly. At first, he still tried to explain or say a few words through the door. Later, when he finally understood I didn't want to see him, he stopped coming. He just had his secretary bring over some tonics from time to time. On the day of delivery, I was rushed into the delivery room. The delivery went smoothly. Afterwards, my mother told me that Lu Huizhou had stood outside the delivery room all night. He only left after hearing the baby's cry and the nurse coming out to announce that all was well. A few days later, I was transferred to the VIP postpartum care center upstairs. The room was spacious and luxurious, equipped with a dedicated nurse and nutritionist. Everything provided was of the highest standard. Mom's follow-up results kept getting better each time. During the last CT scan, the doctor pointed at the image with a smile and said, "It looks perfectly clear, everything's fine." A weight was finally lifted from my heart. My postpartum confinement was very peaceful, and my body recovered remarkably fast. Even the doctors said it was unusual. Perhaps it was because I no longer had any worries weighing on my mind. Time flew by, and the baby gradually grew into their features, their little face becoming more defined and serene. I named him Xiaoyang, giving him my family name. I don't expect him to be dazzlingly brilliant, I just hope there's always light in his life, enough to warm his own heart. On Yang Yang's first birthday, during the ceremony, he grabbed an old medical book, the very same one Lu Huizhou pored over daily before he became famous. I was taken aback for a moment, but then felt a sense of peace. The path is his to choose. After the birthday party ended, I saw the last guest out, watching Yang Yang sleeping soundly in my mother's arms. I picked up my phone and sent a message to Lu Huizhou, "Let's get a divorce." It was a long time before I received Lu Huizhou's reply, "Okay." A moment later, another message came through, "Name your terms, I'll agree to all of them, you'll have custody of Yang Yang." Lu Huizhou's attitude took me by surprise. After all, after our divorce in my past life, he hadn't given me a single cent, but I didn't want to dwell on the reasons behind it. since he was offering a smooth path. I had no reason not to take it. In the divorce settlement, I explicitly requested a sum of money sufficient to secure my future. He took the document, his eyes quickly scanning the terms, and signed his name without hesitation. From now on, we go our separate ways. After the divorce was finalized, I took my mom and Yang Yang to Europe. We settled down in a small town at the foot of the Alps. The house wasn't big, but from the window, we had a view of snow-capped mountains and meadows. Mom fell in love with baking and even became a baking blogger. In just a year, she gained a large following. Yang Yang toddled across the grass, giggling as he chased after the neighbor's sheepdog. As for me, I picked up my old dream again, painting. I thought of myself from many years ago, before I met Lu Huizhou. Back then, my dream was to hold a painting exhibition. Later, my brushes gathered dust and that dream faded. Now, I finally have both the time and the means to pursue my dream. The days passed one after another, and I gradually made a name for myself as a painter. Many people sought me out, drawn by my reputation, to commission work. But before the snow season arrived, an unexpected visitor came to my home. 6. Wang Jinjin stood outside my door, bundled in a cheap down jacket. Her face was haggard, her eyes bloodshot, a far cry from the delicate girl I remembered. She let herself in without an invitation and tossed a file folder onto the table, evidence of the leak of Lu Huizhou's company's core technology, along with the accounts of his tax evasion and asset transfers over the years. Her voice was hoarse, carrying a desperate, all-or-nothing madness. I stole it. He's looking for me everywhere now. But he'd never guess I'd come to his ex-wife's place. I looked at the file folder on the table and didn't move. She stared at me, then suddenly laughed, a twisted smile. There's something else you probably don't know. We slept together. It was while you were pregnant. He was drunk one time. She paused, then continued. Not long after you almost had a miscarriage, I found out I was pregnant too. When I told him, I was so happy. I thought. Her voice choked up, her nails digging into her palms. But he didn't say a word. He just dragged me to the hospital and ended the pregnancy. Do you know what he said to me then? She lifted her red-rimmed eyes, looking straight at me as she enunciated each word. He said, "You don't deserve to have my child." The room fell utterly silent, save for the faint crackle of wood in the fireplace. Xiao Wan, I hate him. Without my father, what is he? And yet, this is how he treats us. I thought he, at the very least, would be different with me. She didn't finish, covering her face. Her muffled sobs were the only sound in the quiet room. Wang Jinjin cried herself out. Lifting her swollen, red-rimmed eyes, they burned with pure hatred. Gripping the edge of the table, she stood up and stared at me, her whole body trembling with emotion. Xiao Wan, you can use this to sue him, ruin his reputation, put him behind bars. It's your revenge, isn't it? I listened, feeling a slight stir of emotion, but nothing too strong. In my past life, he cast me aside like a worn-out shoe for her. In this life, he's capable of doing something even more ruthless to her. So, the coldness in his bones wasn't meant for me alone. I looked at her and said calmly, the moment Lu Huizhou and I signed the divorce papers, our accounts were settled. She froze, staring at me in disbelief. Settled? After everything he did to you? I stood up and walked over to the window. In the courtyard, Mom was holding Yang Yang's little hand, helping him learn to walk. Their faint laughter drifted in. My life is good now. My child and mother are healthy and happy. And I can still do the things I love. I turned to face her. I don't want to drag myself, or the people I care about, back into the mire of the past. That kind of hatred, it's too draining. Her mouth hung open, as if she didn't recognize me. I picked up the file folder and handed it back to her. As for what's between you and him, that's your own business. It has nothing to do with me. What you choose to do is your own decision. She didn't take it. The bag fell to the floor with a dull thud. She looked at me, utterly bewildered. She couldn't understand how anyone could be so at peace. I opened the door and said to her, it's not fully dark yet, you should go. She stood there for a moment, cast one last glance at the document pouch on the floor, and without another word, stumbled away. Wang Jinjin ultimately did not let Lu Huizhou off the hook. She leaked those documents. The scandal dominated the headlines for days on end. Leaked core technology, massive tax evasion, shady deals. Any one of these could be fatal. Lu Huizhou's company saw its stock price plummet, with its market value evaporating overnight. This was swiftly followed by regulatory intervention, the filing of a case for investigation, and the freezing of assets. Lu Huizhou was formally arrested. In the photos, he was being escorted into a police van, his expression unclear. The once celebrated rising star of a medical empire had, in the blink of an eye, become a prisoner, almost simultaneously. Video clips of Ruan Jinjin giving an interview began circulating online. Her face was haggard as she wept before the camera, detailing how Lu Huaizhou had ruthlessly turned on the Ruan family after using them, and how he had forced her to abort their child. Through her tears, she tried to paint herself as the victim, but immediately, someone anonymously provided a trove of evidence showing how the Ruan family had earlier coerced, manipulated, and tightly controlled Lu Huaizhou. Along with more of the family's shady dealings, public opinion flipped in an instant. The Ruan family, now fighting for its own survival, swiftly went from being the victim's family to public enemy number one. I suddenly remembered an afternoon the year after my divorce, when Lu Huaizhou had come to see me. 7. That afternoon, I was in the yard painting with my son. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. When I opened the door, I saw Lu Huaizhou standing there, looking travel-worn and weary, with exhaustion in his eyes. When I opened the door, his eyes flickered. I was passing through on a business trip, he said. I heard you were here, so I thought I'd stop by. I nodded, stepped aside to let him in, and poured him a cup of tea. Inside, neither of us spoke. The atmosphere was quiet in a way that felt loaded. He looked at me, seeming to struggle for words a few times, but in the end, he only asked, "Are you settling in okay here?" I looked at him and said calmly, "Very well." He nodded, finished the last of his tea, and stood up. I should be going. As I saw him to the door, he paused by the fence. He glanced back at Yang playing in the yard, then looked at me. "Xiao Wan, the words were on the tip of his tongue, but he stopped himself and shook his head. "It's nothing, you two, just keep being good to each other." I didn't understand the complexity in his eyes back then. Now, piecing everything together, perhaps what he wanted to say that day was more than just a greeting. Perhaps it was a farewell, but it doesn't matter anymore, and I don't want to know. The past is like smoke on the wind. All I want now is to cherish the present. I closed the news page. In the yard, Mom was holding Yang's little hand, teaching him to identify the bird tracks in the snow. Yang looked up, his face beaming with joy. This kind of life is good, peaceful, solid, and enough. Lu Huaizhou, a side story. I was in the private room next door the day Ruan Jinjin tricked her mother-in-law into drinking. A voice suddenly echoed in my mind. "Dad, hurry, Mom and Grandma are in danger." The voice was frantic and terrified, choked with sobs. "That mean lady is forcing Grandma to drink, but she can't. Mom's got a stomachache. Dad, hurry." I burst out of the private room and, following the sound of the voice, kicked the door open. In the end, the baby was saved. That very night, I had a long dream. In the dream, I already knew the Ruan family had an ulterior motive for sponsoring me. I committed Xiao Wan to a psychiatric hospital, convincing myself it was for her own protection. I would visit her in secret every month. She had grown much thinner, yet her eyes still held that same bright spark. My subordinate told me she desperately wanted to see me, but I couldn't go to her openly. She was pregnant, and I was overjoyed. But before my happiness could even settle, Ruan Jinjin went behind my back and took her to the hospital to terminate the pregnancy. I drank all through the night, but I couldn't make a move, couldn't risk tipping them off. That debt, I swallowed it down with gritted teeth and a mouthful of blood, etching it into my heart. After she fled, I breathed a sigh of relief. I thought to myself, soon, just wait until the Ruan family is brought down, then I'll bring her back and explain everything. When she appeared outside my villa again, leaning on a cane and begging me to save her mother, Ruan Jinjin conveniently sent me a clean bill of health for her mother, along with a few photos of her living a normal life elsewhere. She sent me a message. "Brother Huaizhou, Sister Shawan just won't give up. She's trying to trick you back with another sob story. Don't fall for it." I thought it was just another one of her tests, another attempt to get my attention and win me back. How could I have been so stupid? Marrying Ruan Jinjin was a transaction. I thought if I just endured a little longer, I could explain and make amends once everything was settled. I thought there was still time, but it was all too late. When I went to find her, all I saw was her cold, lifeless body. I held her in my arms all day. As the sun set, I gathered all the evidence and walked into the Commission for Discipline inspection. In my dream, I wept uncontrollably, like a lost child. When I woke, the pillow beside me was damp and cold. Sitting in the darkness, I saw myself clearly for the first time. In my past life, I was cowardly and arrogant. I thought I could protect everything, but in the end, I lost it all. What I called protection became the deepest wound. Knowing everything from that previous life, I cannot get close to her in this one. Her hatred and distance are the best shield. The Ruan family's focus will be locked on me. rather than on persecuting an ex-wife from a dissolved marriage. During the divorce, I gave her a substantial sum of money, enough for her and her mother to live comfortably. I accelerated my plans, redoubling my efforts to gather evidence of the Ruan family's crimes. The day Ruan Jinjin became pregnant, I had her imprisoned and personally ended that pregnancy. The words "you're not worthy" were for her, and for the foolish version of myself from a past life. When she escaped and was prepared to go down fighting to expose me, I felt an almost imperceptible sense of relief. I simultaneously released all the evidence I had on the Ruan family. A mutual destruction ending was always part of my plan. The one thing I hadn't planned for was Xiaowan learning the truth. The prison is quiet. I can no longer hear the child's thoughts. That ability seems to have vanished with the child's safe birth. I close my eyes. A debt from a past life, repaid with this one's life. It's all over now. The end. Story 2. My sister and I were adopted by the wealthiest family at the same time. One stayed home as a playmate for the heir, while the other was sent to the old estate to accompany the patriarch in his retirement. In our past life, my sister took one look at the young master's handsome, gentle demeanor and chose to stay without hesitation. But beneath that gentle facade, the heir was a sadistic psychopath. Within a few years, he had tortured my sister into becoming permanently disabled in both legs. With the old master's support, I studied abroad, entered the entertainment industry, and became the youngest Triple Crown actress. So my sister would rather drag me into the fire with her to be reborn. But sister, no matter how twisted the crown prince is, he's just a teenager. But the old master has lived most of his life as a shrewd man. 1. We were a step too late. Both Zhoumi and I still got adopted. Zhoumi suddenly knelt before Elder Ji, tears and snot streaming down as she pleaded, "Grandpa, please let me stay with you. You look so much like my grandfather. Seeing you feels just like seeing him. It's incredibly heartwarming. From now on, I'll cherish and respect you as if you were my own grandfather." Witnessing this scene, I realized that Zhoumi and I had been reborn together. On this day in our previous life, my sister Zhoumi and I were adopted by the wealthiest family. The current patriarch of the Ji family is this Elder Ji, whose branch of the family is sparse, now consisting only of him and his grandson. Elder Ji asked Zhoumi and me to choose whether to stay with him or with his grandson Ji Tsinyuan. In the previous life, Zhoumi saw Ji Tsinyuan was handsome and without hesitation, chose him first. I was left by old Master Ji's side, but that Ji Tsinyuan was already a pervert in his teens, and Zhoumi suffered all kinds of torment by his side. In the end, Zhoumi was even tortured into disability by Ji Tsinyuan and had to use a wheelchair for life. Raised by Grandpa Ji, I became accomplished in music, chess, calligraphy, and painting, growing into a radiant beauty, sent abroad for studies by Grandpa Ji. I later entered the entertainment industry upon returning. With the Ji family's connections and financial backing, my career soared unimpeded, ultimately making me a top-tier celebrity. Later, I broke into the film industry with a single movie, becoming the youngest Triple Crown actress, the pinnacle of glory. To outsiders, Zhoumi and I lived lives as different as clouds and mud. Zhoumi thought so too. Yet she bore no hatred toward Ji Tsinyuan. Instead, her jealousy toward me festered into venom. On the night I won my third triple gold trophy, she set me ablaze. Her mobility impairment trapped her in the flames as well. Now that I've been reborn, Zhoumi's first thought was to steal my life. Actually, she didn't need to steal it. I'd hand it to her willingly. After all, no matter how twisted Ji Tsinyuan is now, he's just a teenager. He's nowhere near as wild as old Master Ji. 2. Old Master Ji nodded in satisfaction, a glint of shrewdness flashing imperceptibly in his eyes. Since you're so filial, you may follow me. Zhoumi got so excited that she immediately kowtowed 3 times to Grandpa Ji with loud thud sounds, then stood up and held his arm, saying sweetly, "Grandpa, let me help you." Grandpa Ji nodded with a smile. Good child, good child." Then he casually pointed at me and said, "You'll follow Tsinyuan from now on." After speaking, he meaningfully reminded Ji Tsinyuan, "Tsinyuan, take good care of your little sister, understand?" Zhoumi pressed her lips together to suppress a smile and said to Ji Tsinyuan, "Brother, I'm entrusting my younger sister to you from now on. You must take good care of her." She deliberately emphasized the words "take good care." Then she glanced at me triumphantly and helped old Master Ji upstairs. I watched Zhoumi's retreating figure coldly, slowly curling the corners of my lips. "Then enjoy your brand new life to the fullest. But since it's the life you stole, make sure you never return it." A sinister voice suddenly whispered in my ear, "Haven't seen enough." My heart skipped a beat as I finally turned to look at Ji Tsinyuan. Though only 15 years old, this child genuinely appears eerie and terrifying, unlike a normal person. This won't be easy to handle either. I absolutely cannot let my guard down. Taking a deep breath, I immediately flashed a sweet smile, ran up to him, and greeted him obediently. Hello, brother, my name is Josue, and from now on, I'll be your little sister. Jitsun Yuan's icy gaze swept over me imperceptibly, those pitch-black eyes seemingly ignited by something. I clearly saw the burgeoning interest in his eyes. You want to be my little sister? Like hell I wanted to be his sister. What can I do about it? I'm just an 8-year-old kid who got adopted by this crazy family. There's no escape. Even if I killed him, I couldn't avoid the G family's retaliation. So for now, I'll just have to play the obedient little sister. I nodded and said, yeah. Then I tilted my head, looking at him timidly yet hopefully. Brother, do you not like me? A faint arc curled at the corner of Jitsun Yuan's lips as he slightly raised his brows and said with a light smile, like it, of course I do. I stepped forward and grabbed Jitsun Yuan's arm, exclaiming excitedly, great, I have a brother now. I have a brother. Jitsun Yuan's body stiffened abruptly, and the next second he suddenly pushed me away. His sinister gaze bore heavily into me as I fell to the ground, his thin lips parting to enunciate each word. Get out. From now on, don't touch me without my permission. Moody and unpredictable, truly a little freak. Jomi stood by the second floor railing at some point, just watching me. Seeing how Jitsun Yuan abused me right after I arrived at this household, she seemed to relish it, until the butler behind her reminded her, Miss, it's getting late, you should wash up and go to bed. Alright, Jomi responded, casting a smug glance at me before leaving. I then got up from the ground, walked over to Jitsun Yuan, reached out my little hand, and stubbornly wrapped my arms around his. No, I just want to hold you. I want my brother. I knew that at this moment. I must look like an abandoned puppy, whimpering in the corner. Jitsun Yuan's body stiffened again, only this time, he didn't push me away. 3. Although I wasn't by Jitsun Yuan's side in my past life, I still understood him quite well. The reason this brat is so twisted is because he lacked love. His parents died young. Even when they were alive, they'd have small fights every 3 days and big fights every 5 days, because their marriage was purely a business arrangement without any real affection. Every time they fought, they threatened divorce, even saying in front of little Jitsun Yuan, that's your son, you take him, he came out of your womb, you take him, I don't want him. Later, during another fight in front of Jitsun Yuan, they came to blows, and his mother accidentally stabbed his father to death. In panic, his mother then committed suicide. Jitsun Yuan was only 5 years old at the time. Looking at the two people lying in a pool of blood, he remained eerily calm. Later, he stayed by old Master G's side all along, and what decent person could that old pervert old Master G possibly raise? Before Jitsun Yuan's father got married, he often indulged in orgies with old Master G. Threesomes and foursomes were regular occurrences. He didn't spend much time accompanying Jitsun Yuan either, being too preoccupied with playing with little boys and girls, and pursuing immortality. Jitsun Yuan grew up in such an environment until he was 15, if he's not a pervert. Then who is? I've decided to try to reform him with love. Whether it works or not, I'll give it a try. What if it actually works? If this approach doesn't work, it's not too late to try another. Jitsun Yuan moved out on his own just after turning 15. At that moment, he glanced at me with a dark gaze, looked at my small hand tightly clutching his arm, and without another word, strode forward. His legs were simply too long. Already 8 meters tall at just 15 years old, while I wasn't even 3 meters and truly couldn't keep up with him. Big brother, I deliberately said in a childish voice, slow down, I can't keep up with you. Big brother, can you carry me? Jitsun Yuan frowned slightly and glared at me impatiently. Shut up, if you keep making noise, I'll throw you into the sea to feed the sharks. I burst into tears with a loud wah. Big brother is mean. Woo-woo, I don't want to feed the sharks, I'm scared it'll hurt. Woo-woo, crying while burrowing into Jitsun Yuan's arms, smearing tears and snot all over him. To some extent, I was testing the limits of Jitsun Yuan's patience with me. If he only scolds me verbally despite all this fuss, then I'll know my boundaries. Shut up, Jitsun Yuan pointed at me. If you cry one more time, I'll feed you to the sharks. I immediately shut my mouth tightly, looking at him with teary eyes, sobbing as my shoulders shook with each hiccup. Jitsun Yuan gritted his teeth and closed his eyes briefly, probably having never encountered such a troublesome brat like me before. Utterly exasperated, I watched him nervously. Please don't let him lose his temper so soon. Did I just go a bit too far? Jitsun Yuan suddenly bent down, startled. I quickly covered my bottom. Brother, don't hit me, Jitsun Yuan. His expression was complex. His dark brows furrowed the entire time as he picked me up and strode out. Phew, that hurdle is finally past. Should I be even bolder now? I wrapped my arms around Jitsun Yuan's neck. Brother, you're not mad at me anymore, so you won't throw me into the sea to feed the sharks. Brother, I promise I'll be good from now on. Please don't be angry with me or abandon me. Okay, my sister doesn't want me anymore. You're all I have now. Jitsun Yuan took a deep breath, turned his head and gave me a disgusted look, but when he met my pitiful, teary-eyed gaze, he finally relented. I won't abandon you for now. But if you misbehave in the future, I'll still throw you into the sea to feed the sharks. I giggled and nuzzled my face against Jitsun Yuan's neck. I knew you couldn't bear to abandon me. Brother, you're so good to me. Jitsun Yuan, could you shut up? Okay, brother, I got it. Brother, Jitsun Yuan, he muttered through gritted teeth. I really want to sew your mouth shut. How much does he dislike my mouth? 4. When we arrived at Jitsun Yuan's house, he threw me into the room and left. Not only is this person perverted, but also antisocial. He doesn't allow servants to stay overnight here. He left a little kid like me here. How am I supposed to take care of myself? Good thing I'm not a child. After washing up, I went out wrapped in a towel. I looked everywhere but couldn't find any children's clothes. There weren't even any adult clothes. I'm really not cut out for raising kids. When I went out to find clothes, Jitsun Yuan's deep voice suddenly rang out, startling me. What are you doing? I took a deep breath silently, adjusted my emotions, then turned around and pouted. Brother, I finished showering, but I don't have any clothes to wear. Ever since Jitsun Yuan saw me, his eyebrows have been permanently knitted together. The impatience at this moment was beyond measure. Why are you being so troublesome? I squatted down with my back to Jitsun Yuan, whining. Brother, do you hate me again? Why do you hate me? What exactly did I do wrong? Footsteps sounded behind me. Even the carpet couldn't muffle them, showing just how annoyed he was. Soon, Jitsun Yuan brought over a short-sleeved shirt and threw it at me. Put it on and get back to your room to sleep. Don't come out again tonight. Oh. I took the clothes off my head, stood up and nodded at him, then waved my hand. Good night, brother. Jitsun Yuan ignored me and walked away. I took the clothes back to the bedroom and locked the door. Sitting on the bed, I let out a slight sigh of relief. The first day has passed safely, hasn't it? But we still need to be cautious. It's better to sleep with one eye open. 5. The result of sleeping with one eye open is that I didn't sleep well all night. In fact, how many peaceful nights did I really have in my previous life? Even during my time abroad, I was afraid that old man G would suddenly push open my door. Zhomi didn't know that in my past life, I suffered from severe depression, so her fire was a release for me. Now everything can start anew. I must persevere. I must save myself. The sky outside was already bright. I was still wearing the clothes Jitsun Yuan gave me last night and went out barefoot, going downstairs. I only saw an aunt busy in the kitchen. When she saw me, her face was full of kind smiles. This must be little Sway Sway, right? I nodded. Yes, auntie, where's my brother? He left early in the morning, but told me to come over early to cook for you. The breakfast was sumptuous, but I had little appetite, only took a few bites before putting down my chopsticks, pondering how to tell Jitsun Yuan when he returns that I want to go to school. Jitsun Yuan didn't come back until after 11 p.m. Hearing noises at the bedroom door, I took a deep breath and mentally prepared myself before going out. Jitsun Yuan had already returned to his room, but I didn't see him when I entered. Faint sounds of running water came from the bathroom. I knew he was taking a shower, so I climbed onto his bed. When Jitsun Yuan came out and saw me on the bed, his face instantly darkened. Who told you to sleep here? Get out. I clutched the blanket and shrank back. But I'm scared, brother. I want to sleep with you. Just as he was about to lose his temper, I started sobbing boo-hoo. I could see profound helplessness mixed with murderous intent on Jitsun Yuan's face. What a complicated person indeed. He closed his eyes briefly, then after a long pause, squeezed out a national curse through gritted teeth, feigning innocence. I asked, brother, what do you mean by what you said? Shut up. Jitsun Yuan suddenly approached, yanking the blanket off and hauling me up by the collar. I was about to burst into tears when he pointed a finger to silence me. He threw me back onto the bed. You're going to school tomorrow. No excuses. Is that all there is to it? That went way too smoothly. 6. It wasn't until a week after I started school that I finally saw Zhomi on campus. She was wearing an expensive princess dress, carrying a delicate little basket, and started placing gifts on each desk as soon as she entered the classroom. As she reached my desk, she gave me a challenging look, placed a small box on my table, and then walked away. After distributing all the gifts without missing anyone, Secretary Zhou walked back to the front and gracefully bowed to everyone. Hello everyone, my name is Zhou. I'm the granddaughter of the wealthiest Ji family's patriarch, Mr. Ji. I look forward to your kindness and support in the future. This opening speech made me doubt whether Zhou had truly been reborn. How could a soul in their 20s possibly say something so pretentious when facing a group of 8-year-olds? What's the point of showing off to a bunch of kids? A boy named Chen Junxian in the class pointed at Zhou and asked, the richest man's surname is Ji, why is yours Zhou? Zhou's expression faltered slightly, a flash of embarrassment crossing his brow. But the next second he raised his chin again. I was adopted by the richest family. What's your relationship with Zhou Sui? Someone pointed at me and asked, you two look so alike, and you both have the surname Zhou. Zhou glanced at me, pursed her lips, and went downstairs without saying a word. The homeroom teacher then spoke up, alright, let's give a round of applause to welcome our new classmate, and then we'll begin the lesson. My deskmate leaned over and whispered to me, do you know the new classmate? I just nodded. But didn't mention that Zhou is my fraternal twin sister. After class, Zhou called me to a deserted corner of the playground and warned me, Zhou Sui, although we are sisters and were both adopted by the Ji family, you followed Jitsun Yuan while I stayed with Grandpa. Now that we don't even live together anymore, we should keep our distance from now on. What else could I say after she put it like that? I could only nod. Zhou looked me up and down, then suddenly laughed. How was it? Not so pleasant with Jitsun Yuan, was it? Look at what you're wearing. What even is that? She twirled in front of me. Grandpa bought this for me. What do you think? Pretty, right? Seeing my silence, Zhou lifted her chin again. Anyway, don't come to me for anything from now on. I won't help you, since it's come to this. Zhou Sui, let's each bear our own burdens and suffer our own hardships. After saying that, she turned and walked toward the school building. Muttering another sentence, anyway, I'll never have to suffer again. It was evident that old man Ji hadn't made a move against her these past few days, but don't worry, it's coming soon. Sure enough, just a few days later, I suddenly received a message. Old Master Ji took Zhou Sui abroad for recuperation. In my previous life, it wasn't until I was in university that old Master Ji took me abroad. Why is it happening so soon this time? Could it really be that the information I leaked worked? Noticing my astonishment, Jitsun Yuan gave a cold smile. Upon closer look, that smile was utterly cruel. Ever since this elder sister of yours came to Grandpa's side, she's wanted everything. Seems she's really to the old man's taste. Don't worry, foreign countries are open-minded places. The old man will keep her well fed. I could only pretend to look confused. But in my heart, I knew everything clearly. It was Secretary Zhou's prematurely exposed greedy nature that doomed her. Moreover, I also added fuel to the fire. 7. Time flies. The next time I saw Zhou was when we were 18 years old. She came to my university as an exchange student. In the blink of an eye, it's been 10 years since we last saw each other. Her appearance hasn't changed much compared to her previous life, still looking as lifeless as ever. The only difference is she's dressed much more luxuriously than in her past life. In her previous life, she was tortured by that psychopath Jitsun Yuan, but in this life, her tormentor has become Old Master Ji. Though the perpetrator has changed, the outcome remains the same in the end. Fate is written in the stars. We twin sisters died together, were reborn together, now attend the same university, and were even assigned to the same dorm room. When I opened the door and entered, she was sitting blankly on the edge of the bed. Hearing the noise, she startled like a frightened rabbit and jumped up abruptly. Seeing it was me, she seemed momentarily dazed but visibly relaxed. Oh, it's you. Zhou slightly raised her chin, scanning me up and down. How have you been these years? Has that pervert Jitsun Yuan treated you well? I was just about to speak when a light scoff came from behind me. Jitsun Yuan walked over and stopped beside me, still carrying my suitcase in his hand. His indifferent gaze swept over Zhou as he casually asked, when did I become a pervert? I don't recall that. When Zhou saw Jitsun Yuan, her already pale complexion turned even whiter. Just as I have a shadow over Old Master Ji, doesn't Zhou also have one over Jitsun Yuan? She swallowed hard, her voice turning slightly hoarse. I was talking nonsense. I'm sorry. Jitsun Yuan didn't look at her again, nor did he say anything, but instead glanced around the dormitory before coming over to help me make the bed, started packing my luggage again, folding all my clothes neatly and putting them in the closet. After finishing, they reminded me, I've left the driver for you. If you want to come home after class, just call me anytime, and I'll pick you up. If you don't need me to pick you up, have the driver take you to the company first. After saying that, they glanced around the dorm room. Staying a few days to experience it is fine, but it's more convenient to live in the house off campus. I've finally managed to live like a normal person in this lifetime, and now I'm just like an ordinary college student. I don't want to move off campus. I want to live here. Jitsun Yuan nodded. Alright, everything's settled. I'll take my leave first. He walked up to me and, just like when I was a child, gently ruffled my hair before giving Zhoumi a warning glance and leaving. I saw him off downstairs, and upon returning immediately met Zhoumi's incredulous gaze. She couldn't wait to ask me, "Why is he so good to you?" Zhoumi's breakdown came so quickly, which was beyond my expectation. I deliberately put on a matter-of-fact expression. "He's my brother. Isn't it natural for him to treat me well? Doesn't Grandpa G treat you well?" Zhoumi had a breakdown. She collapsed onto the edge of the bed, clutching her head as if trapped in unbearable agony. Muttering incessantly under her breath, "This isn't right. It shouldn't be like this." Suddenly, she stood up again and immediately tried to tear off my clothes. I pushed her away forcefully. "What are you doing?" Zhoumi's face turned red, her head shaking continuously, the flesh on her face trembling. As if possessed, she reached out to me again. "Take off your clothes. Let me see. Show me. I want to see." She was genuinely shocked. Worse than I was in my past life. Old Man G certainly didn't let me down. 8. I shoved Zhoumi away again, then swung my hand and slapped her hard across the face. "Are you awake now?" Zhoumi stood frozen in place, as if someone had flipped his off switch. I rushed up and grabbed her arm, feigning concern. Sister, what's wrong with you? Don't scare me like this." Zhoumi pushed me away forcefully, glaring at me with resentment, tears of unwillingness streaming from her eyes. Why does everyone treat you so well?" "Old Master G does, and Jitsun Yuan too. Just why do they treat me like this? Why?" "Oh, my dear sister, how could you possibly know? In my past life, I suffered greatly under Old Man G's torment. If you hadn't burned me to death, I would have continued living in that earthly hell, never knowing when I could have saved myself. Actually, in that past life, I did think about saving myself, calling the police or running away. Once I grew up, I could have done any of those things. But that damned pervert Old Man G seemed to see right through my thoughts. Don't even think about escaping or getting help from the police. Even if you don't consider whether your little arms could win against my strong legs, you should at least think about your own sister. Every move you make is under my watchful eye. Don't act recklessly, or it won't just be your life at stake. I'll make sure your sister joins you in the grave, little Sway Sway. Stay obediently by Grandpa's side and keep him company. Everything Grandpa has will be yours in the future. Hasn't Grandpa been good to you?" I lived under his oppression and psychological manipulation for a long time, and in the end, I simply gave in. Yet this very sister I wanted to protect ended up burning me to death out of jealousy. My past life was truly a joke, and isn't Zhoumi in this life just the same? I looked at her indifferently, sneering silently. "Sister, did Grandpa abuse you? What exactly did he do to you?" Zhoumi wiped away her tears in one swift motion, then suddenly smiled at me again. "I'm fine, really, I'm doing great. I've just been under a lot of pressure lately. You probably didn't know, but I'm going to be a big star." I nodded. "Congratulations to you then. The entertainment industry, that place with no moral bottom line, is certainly no good destination. Moreover, since it was Old Man G who sent her there, what would happen was already self-evident." Zhoumi smugly raised her chin. "Once I become a big star, everything will fall into place. If anyone bullies me again, my fans won't stand for it." As if sensing that a bright future was within reach, the flesh on Zhoumi's face began to tremble again. This time, I'm trembling with excitement. 9. Although it's already autumn, the weather is still very hot. In the morning, I looked at Zhoumi's long-sleeved pajamas and deliberately asked, "Aren't you hot wearing long sleeves now?" Actually, I was just casually asking. If I could provoke her, I would. If not, it wouldn't be any loss to me. But these words genuinely provoked Zhoumi. "I'll wear whatever I like. What's it to you?" I pretended to be angry. I was just showing concern. "Why are you snapping at me?" I got out of bed to wash up in the bathroom. Zhoumi's voice suddenly sounded behind me again. "Zhou Sui, you're not doing well either, are you?" I paused mid-step, turned to look at her, and pretended not to hear clearly. "What did you say?" "Stop pretending." Zhoumi sneered coldly. "Ji Qingyuan is the best at acting, and now even you've become so good at it." Her gaze fell on my legs as she laughed. "I advise you to make good use of your legs while you can still run and jump. Don't wait until you can't use them anymore to regret it." She must be talking about her past life self. I glanced down at my legs, muttered, "Don't talk nonsense," and entered the bathroom. Of course, Secretary Zhou wasn't spouting nonsense. She was just waiting for the day Ji Qinyuan would break my leg so she could laugh at my misfortune. But soon enough, my chance for retaliation came. 10. And I didn't have to wait long for this opportunity. After the military training ended, Ji Qinyuan came to pick me up at school. Grandfather said he wants us both to go back to the old house for a meal. Ji Qinyuan spoke calmly, his hands on the steering wheel and eyes fixed ahead, his tone devoid of fluctuation. I was going to see that person again. I glanced out the window and merely responded with a faint Ji Qinyuan seemed to glance at me sideways. Nervous? Or is it because you don't want to see Grandpa? I turned back and sat properly, about to speak when Ji Qinyuan added, if you don't want to see him, you don't have to. That old man isn't worth meeting anyway. Yeah, how could Ji Qinyuan not understand his grandfather? Although I haven't seen my grandfather in 10 years, but since he's your grandfather, he's my grandfather too. Let's meet him, I added after speaking. It's not like we'll see him every day. Ji Qinyuan, they say the wicked live 1,000 years, and it's true. Old man Ji is over 80 this year, and apart from some heart issues, he's quite healthy otherwise. Even the heart problem isn't a big deal for him. He's rich, and a single dose of special medicine can cost millions. Seems the money isn't wasted. Perhaps old man Ji has truly found the secret to immortality. I scoffed inwardly but put on an obedient expression, following Ji Qinyuan inside. Grandfather, Ji Qinyuan greeted in a flat, emotionless voice. I bowed slightly and said, hello, grandfather. Old Master Ji now held a cane in his hand. After looking me up and down, he burst into laughter. That look was all too familiar to me, like a toad sticking out its tongue and licking all over me. It was truly disgusting. Ji Qinyuan took a couple of steps toward me, effectively blocking Old Master Ji's gaze from falling on me. Old Master Ji withdrew his gaze, nodded, and handed me a red envelope. Sway, these past few years, Grandpa has been abroad and hasn't seen you or given you any gifts. I've neglected you. This is Grandpa's little token of affection. Take it. Don't say Grandpa favors your sister over you. The sight of old man Ji's outstretched hand made me nauseous, and I hesitated to take it. Secretary Zhou came downstairs, still dressed in long sleeves and pants. Just accept the red envelope Grandpa gave you. You shouldn't reject an elder's kindness. That's immature. She walked over and urged me again. Hurry up and take it. Whatever. Who'd refuse free money? Am I an idiot? Just as I was about to reach out, a large hand snatched the red envelope from old man Ji's grasp first. He opened it, took out a bank card, and chuckled lightly. Seems like quite a sum, Grandpa. I'll accept this on Sue's behalf. After speaking, he reminded me, Sway, don't forget to thank Grandpa. I quickly nodded. Thank you, Grandpa. Old Master Ji gave a hum. After all, you weren't raised by my side, so you're distant with me, unlike your sister. He patted the spot beside him. Xiaomi, come sit next to Grandpa. Xiaomi hesitated for just a second before sitting down beside him. Old man Ji's aged hand patted Xiaomi's thigh seemingly casually, but his eyes were on me. Sway, I don't mean to criticize, but you're not as likable as your sister. You haven't smiled once since entering. Looking at this old pervert's face, I really couldn't muster a smile. I even wanted to punch his teeth out, but I still tugged at the corner of my lips and laughed. Old Master Ji stood up with his cane. Xinyuan, come with me to the study. I have something to tell you. Ji Xinyuan said something to me before helping old Master Ji upstairs. 11. Xiaomi stared coldly at the two figures' backs and, while they weren't looking, brushed her thigh as if wiping off something dirty. Then she took my hand again. Sway, it's been so many years since we last met as sisters. Why don't you stay tonight? I sneered inwardly. With acting skills like these, she still wants to break into the entertainment industry. The way she treated me at school before, and now suddenly changing her attitude, what else could it be if not a guilty conscience? I glanced upstairs. I don't know. I'll have to ask my brother. I can only stay if he agrees. I said it on purpose, and Xiaomi actually believed it. I knew it. What did you say? I asked. Xiaomi raised his eyebrows smugly. Nothing much. I'll go upstairs first to prepare your room. I followed him upstairs. When we reached the study door, I stopped and heard old Master Ji's low growl from inside. Bastard. Now even you won't listen to me. Ji Xinyuan's cold voice followed immediately. Grandfather, you're at this age now. You've experienced all there is to enjoy. It's time to step back and cultivate your character. Old Master Ji's cane struck the ground with a dull thud. You must deliver that Zhou Sui to me tonight. My body stiffened, as if all my blood had reversed its flow, my hands clenching tightly. So Secretary Zhou had this scheme in mind too, but in the end, I was just angry and no longer afraid. All these years by Jitsun Yuan's side, I'd done my fair share of brainwashing him. I've also frequently reminded him, both overtly and covertly, to seize control of the Ji family's power so he wouldn't have to be at the mercy of Old Master Ji. Oh right. This lifetime's early overseas trip by Old Master Ji was also my doing. It was I who spread the news that an immortality elixir had been developed on a foreign island. Moreover, Old Master Ji was already aware of that island, so he naturally believed it without doubt. The study suddenly fell silent. Suddenly, Old Master Ji's terrified voice rang out. You, what are you trying to do, Jitsun Yuan? Are you daring to lay hands on me? I am your grandfather. Jitsun Yuan's smile was icy cold, his voice seeming to emanate from the depths of hell. Carrying bone-chilling indifference, grandfather, you're getting old. As I've said, it's time for you to cultivate moral character and nourish your nature. Normally I don't care how you play around outside, and that Zhou has nothing to do with me. You can do whatever you want with him, but Zhou Sui is my bottom line. Consider this a warning, don't touch her. Old Man Ji's aged voice trembled. You, what do you want? What can you possibly do to me? Heh, Jitsun Yuan let out an almost inaudible chuckle. I can't do much to you either, but you're old, suddenly dying would be quite normal, don't you think? Jitsun Yuan, what are you doing? Old Man Ji let out a pained cry. Just joking. Don't take it seriously. Jitsun Yuan laughed lazily. I only heard this much before turning around and going downstairs. Soon Zhou came down too, excitedly telling me, I've already prepared the room for you, Sui, you must stay tonight. She won't be staying. Jitsun Yuan's unhurried voice came from above. Zhou's body stiffened, reflexively letting go of my hand. Jitsun Yuan walked over to me in a few steps, leaving now. I shook my head. After dinner, I should at least keep Grandpa company for a meal. Jitsun Yuan's deep gaze silently lingered on me for a moment before he nodded. 12. At the dining table, I became unusually talkative, as if I had endless things to say to Old Master Ji. Old Man Ji even praised me for being sweet-tongued. Jitsun Yuan naturally noticed my odd behavior, but he didn't speak, just eating his food slowly and elegantly. I withdrew my peripheral gaze from him and continued talking to Old Man Ji. Grandpa, you might not know this, but sister is actually the school belle at our university. It's only been a few days since the semester started, and she already has a whole crowd of admirers. Secretary Zhou's hand loosened, and the chopsticks fell to the floor. Old Man Ji's smile froze at his lips, but the next second he laughed again, instructing the servant to pick up the chopsticks and handing Secretary Zhou a new pair. Be careful, he reminded. Secretary Zhou's voice trembled slightly. Grandpa, don't listen to Zhou Sui's nonsense. No boys are chasing me. How could there not be? I saw it myself. I chuckled. Are you shy in front of Grandpa? Sis, you're already 18, you can date now. Grandpa wouldn't stop you from having a relationship, would he? Zhou lowered her head to eat and softly commanded, shut up. As if suddenly remembering something, she raised her head again to look at Jitsun Yuan. Little sister has many admirers at school too, brother. Doesn't that bother you? Jitsun Yuan turned his head to look at me, then reached out to pat my head again. Your top priority now is studying. We'll talk after you graduate from university. I nodded. A trace of unwillingness flashed in Zhou's eyes, but when meeting Jitsun Yuan's gaze, her face paled and she quickly lowered her head. Her hand holding the chopsticks was trembling. After the meal, Jitsun Yuan took me away. He remained silent the entire way, not uttering a single word. Upon returning home, I was about to go straight upstairs when Jitsun Yuan's voice sounded behind me. Want to watch a good show? I turned around. What show? I genuinely had no idea about this. Come with me. Jitsun Yuan took my hand and led me upstairs to his study. He turned on the computer, and as soon as he opened a software, Secretary Zhou's heart-wrenching screams came through. Grandpa, I didn't do it. I really didn't. No, Grandpa, I beg you. It hurts. Grandpa, it hurts. Stop hitting me. My internal organs began to tremble, followed by my entire body. Suddenly it reached a critical point. I covered my ears tightly. No. Jitsun Yuan quickly turned it off and hugged me. Don't be afraid, Sui. It's all my fault. All my fault. I pushed him away, pounding on him with all my strength. Why did you make me listen to this? Jitsun Yuan, I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. I hate Old Master Ji, hate Zhou. I'll make sure they die horribly. 13. Jitsun Yuan just stood there, motionless, letting me vent. I don't know how long I hit him until my arms grew tired and I had no strength left. Only then did I stop. Feeling better now, Jitsun Yuan sighed and hugged me again, gently patting my back. I'll never show you such things again. I nodded. I just want to tell you, all men are no good. Look at how that old man treated your sister, and you should understand. Stay away from the old man from now on, unless it's me. No matter who calls you over, don't go. Do you hear me? I nodded again. Then I looked up at him. Does that mean you're no good either? Jitsun Yuen was amused by my words. What do you think? I studied him carefully. In my heart, Jitsun Yuen has never been a good person, but over all these years, though he was indeed very harsh to me at first, that only lasted for half a year, later on, and up until now, he has truly treated me very, very well. Zhou Sui, I'm not a good person. Jitsun Yuen looked into my eyes, but I will strive to be a good brother. I will protect you and never let you come to any harm. I shook my head. You don't need to try. You're already a good brother. Jitsun Yuen let out a light laugh. Is your standard for a good brother really that low? I also laughed, feeling much more relaxed. Then hold yourself to higher standards. Jitsun Yuen pulled me out of the study. Stay away from that sister of yours too. I'll talk to your school about transferring her to another dorm. No. I grabbed Jitsun Yuen's hand and stopped. Jitsun Yuen turned around. Don't tell me you didn't notice tonight. She wanted to hand you over to that old bastard to be tortured, and you still consider her your sister. No, ever since I was 8, I haven't had a sister. Now, I only have you, but I need to keep an eye on her. It makes me feel safer. At worst, you can send someone to protect me. Jitsun Yuen rubbed my head again. Alright, you should hurry back to your room and get some rest early. 14. On Monday, Secretary Zhou didn't come. Although I didn't see the specific scene that day, hearing Secretary Zhou's heart-wrenching screams made it clear she was being severely tormented by that old pervert. It wasn't until half a month later that Secretary Zhou finally came to school. You look like you've lost another circle of weight. I pretended to be concerned and asked her, Sis, where have you been lately? You don't look too good. Zhou reflexively cupped her cheeks, then suddenly glared at me. None of your business. I shrugged, just showing some concern for you. You'd better worry about yourself, unless you want someone to break your legs, Zhou said irritably before entering the bathroom. The dorm room still carried the heavy scent of her perfume. It stung the nose. It took quite a while before Zhou came out of the bathroom, got ready, and left for class. I also came to the classroom, but didn't sit with Zhou. The perfume she was wearing smelled absolutely terrible. Classmates started complaining. Zhou, why are you wearing such strong perfume? It's giving me a headache. Zhou immediately snapped back. What do you mean strong? If you can't afford high-end perfume, don't be jealous. Everyone kept their distance from her. But Zhou didn't seem to care, yet when we got back to the dorm, she complained to me about it. Those people in our class, none of them are particularly capable, but they sure have plenty of flaws. What's wrong with me wearing a little perfume? I told her honestly, your perfume is really too strong. It's practically stinging my nose. Zhou immediately rolled her eyes. You're just like them. Anyway, I won't be staying at school much longer. I'm about to enter the entertainment industry. 15. One evening a few days later, Zhou and I were each doing our own things in the dorm room. Zhou's phone suddenly rang. After hanging up the phone, she immediately ran over to show off to me. Zhou Sui, I'm going to enter the entertainment industry and become a big star. Grandpa wants me to go now to meet the director and producers. Bad memories from my past life suddenly flooded my mind. I nodded slowly. Then you should hurry and go. Zhou changed into her prettiest clothes, applied delicate makeup, and left happily. A thought suddenly occurred to me, so I immediately called the bodyguard Jitsun Yuen had assigned to me and instructed one of them to follow Secretary Zhou. Upon arriving at a private club, the bodyguard couldn't enter and called me. I called Jitsun Yuen again, asking him to figure something out. Jitsun Yuen understood what I intended to do. After a brief silence, he said, have the bodyguard return, I'll send someone in. I responded and hung up the phone. But until past midnight, I still hadn't received any message from Jitsun Yuen, so I fell asleep. When I woke up the next morning, Secretary Zhou still hadn't returned. After washing up, I called Jitsun Yuen. Did you find anything last night? Jitsun Yuen remained silent for a moment before saying, just that matter. You should be able to guess. Can you show me? I asked. Jitsun Yuen didn't answer me, but instead asked, why do you want to see this? With that, he hung up the phone directly. That afternoon I had no classes. Jitsun Yuen came to pick me up and took me to a house near the school. He played me a recording. It was filled with a man's lewd laughter. Then came the lewd and perverted voice of old man Ji. Xiaomi, put in some effort and serve these gentlemen well. Zhou couldn't speak, only making muffled mmph sounds. Old man Ji said displeasedly, how have I taught you usually? Don't you want to enter the entertainment industry? Jitsun Yuan picked up his phone. Alright. The rest isn't for your ears. I'll say it again. Stay away from that sister of yours and the old man. A brilliant idea suddenly struck me, and the corners of my lips curled up involuntarily. My chin suddenly tensed. Jitsun Yuan gripped my chin forcefully. It hurt so much. His dark eyes fixed on me as he warned in a low voice. Behave yourself, understand, it hurts. I slapped his hand. You're hurting me. Jitsun Yuan immediately released his grip and checked my chin. So delicate. I didn't even use any strength. How much more strength do you want to use? You've nearly crushed my jaw. I complained. He raised his hand and knocked on my head. Behave. Remember that. I don't know what's on your mind, but I know you don't like that sister of yours or that old man. If you have a problem with them, you can just tell me directly. I'll take care of them. But Josue, if I find out you're scheming behind my back, I'll really beat you up. I knew Jitsun Yuan was worried about me getting hurt, which is why he said that. I stepped forward and wrapped my arms around his neck. Brother, you're the best. Jitsun Yuan silently looked at me for a while, then sighed. It's because of you calling me brother that I feel like my whole life is tied up in this. Not worth it. I nodded and let go of him. Fine, then you don't have to have me as your little sister. Don't talk nonsense. Jitsun Yuan's voice lowered slightly. He didn't like hearing that. 16. This time, Xiaomi quickly returned to school. In the dormitory, she excitedly told me, I'm about to start filming soon. The script is finalized, and once the crew is assembled, we'll begin shooting immediately. Congratulations. Xiaomi snorted proudly and went back into the bathroom. The scent of her perfume is getting stronger and stronger. Is it meant to mask the old man's smell from Grandpa G? Before the project started, Secretary Zhou was still attending classes normally, but these past few days, she's clearly been much more active than before, telling everyone she's about to join a film crew. Some classmates engage with her, while others naturally feel envious. The moment I entered the classroom, I saw a crowd surrounding Xiaomi. Can you take me along? I don't ask for much, just being an extra would be fine. My lines are pretty good. Can you give me a couple of lines? Xiaomi was thoroughly enjoying this feeling of being the center of attention. Suddenly, someone shouted, "Ah, what's that awful smell? Did someone poop? How disgusting." The crowd that had just gathered around Secretary Zhou instantly scattered. The others also packed up their things and ran out of the classroom together. I was about to run with everyone when I noticed Xiaomi standing completely still in place. Someone behind said. Xiaomi pulled up. That classroom was constantly ventilated, so we were moved to another one, but Xiaomi was nowhere to be found. After class in the afternoon, Jitsun Yuan came to pick me up. Your sister is in the hospital again. Did you know? I knew something must have happened to Xiaomi again, but I didn't know she was hospitalized. Why? Jitsun Yuan cleared his throat lightly. Let's not talk about it anymore. I'm afraid it might disgust you. Recalling what happened in the classroom today and connecting it with everything Xiaomi went through, I looked it up online. Even if Jitsun Yuan didn't say it, I pretty much guessed 80 to 90% of it. Xiaomi probably has anal fistula, and her sphincter muscles can't function properly, which is why she suffers from incontinence. No wonder she always wears such strong perfume. It was to mask the smell, but obviously, this smell couldn't be concealed. After some thought, I asked Jitsun Yuan to take me to the hospital. He remained silent for a while, but still took me there. I entered Xiaomi's hospital room while he and the bodyguard stood guard outside. Sis, the moment I reached the bedside, Xiaomi started screaming like a madwoman. Jitsun Yuan came in, made sure I was okay, then left again. Get out. Xiaomi's face was deathly pale, like a vengeful ghost crawled out from hell, her expression filled with resentment and unwillingness. Did you come here to laugh at me? I sighed. Sis, don't be like this. I'm genuinely worried about you. Even though you can't become a big star anymore, you should still think about Grandpa. He's already old, with heart problems and taking medication daily. If something really happened to you and it affected him, what would Grandpa do? I deliberately emphasized words like big star, heart disease, and taking medication. I believe Xiaomi would understand. Sure enough, Secretary Zhou, who had been acting crazy on the bed, suddenly stopped and looked up at me, bursting into laughter. Jitsun Yuan came in again and dragged me out. Secretary Zhou was still laughing heartily. Jitsun Yuan dragged me all the way into the car and sternly asked, "What were you doing? Didn't I tell you, if you want to do something, tell me and I'll do it. Who allowed you to take such risks? He's been getting increasingly fierce lately. Isn't this because you're protecting me outside? I'm not even scared, so what are you afraid of? You." Jitsun Yuan glared at me, and after a long while, He turned away to look out the window instead, his voice somewhat distant. Sway, you're all I have left, little sister. I know he's afraid something might happen to me, but there are some things I want to do myself. I want to avenge myself. I went over and hugged him. Brother, I won't let anything happen to me. 17. Xiaomi didn't let me down either. She went straight home after being discharged from the hospital. The next day, I received news of old Master G's death. At that moment, the heavy burden in my heart finally lifted. Dead. That old pervert finally died. Good riddance. I didn't need anyone to tell me. I already knew. Old man G died of a heart attack. His heart couldn't bear that death-like ecstasy. And with no medicine left, he just stopped breathing. After old Master G's funeral, Secretary Zhou rushed to the company, demanding to convene a shareholders meeting. All the shareholders attended. As a shareholder myself, I naturally had to be present. Zhou looked at me in surprise. What are you doing here? I smiled slightly. I'm a shareholder. Jitsun Yuan passed between Zhou and me, pulling me inside. Zhou walked to the front. Grandfather has passed away. He previously said that after his death, everything would be left to me, so from now on, I am the chairman of this company. Hearing this, the shareholders looked at each other and burst into laughter. Young lady, we're attending this meeting out of respect for you, but you can't just mess with us like this. Zhou grew anxious. Who's messing with you? Grandpa left a will. Director Zhang waved his hand with a smile. No need for the will. The shares your grandfather held have long been in President G's hands. There's no property left under his name. Zhou was stunned. What? Her face was full of disbelief. How is this possible? This can't be. Director Zhang continued. Now the largest shareholder of the company is President G, and the second largest shareholder is our Miss Zhou. He pointed at me. Zhou still refused to believe it. This can't be possible. She suddenly went mad, pointing at me with a shrill, piercing voice. Zhou, why aren't your legs crippled yet? Jitsun Yuan, hurry up and cripple her legs. Do it now. Jitsun Yuan gave Zhou a cold glance and had someone throw her out. This shareholders meeting is a complete joke. I walked out together with Jitsun Yuan. There's surveillance in the old man's bedroom. Secretary Zhou deliberately took his medicine. Premeditated murder. I've called the police. He thought of something and chuckled faintly. Guess you can't take the civil service exam now, can you? Suddenly, a piercing engine roar sounded. Both Jitsun Yuan and I turned to look. Zhou was in the car, stomping on the accelerator, madly driving towards Jitsun Yuan and me. That ferocious face resembled an azure from hell. Her lips seemed to scream. Drop dead. Everything happened in an instant. Before I could even react, Jitsun Yuan forcefully pushed me aside. Then with a bang, Jitsun Yuan was sent flying. Zhou's car crashed into the large pillar at the company entrance, died on the spot. 18. 2 days later, Jitsun Yuan finally woke up. The way he looked at me seemed like he had become a different person. Just as I was about to call out, he stopped me. He asked me a thought-provoking question. Did I make the right choice in this lifetime? My body suddenly froze. Jitsun Yuan has awakened memories from his past life. You already knew, even lying on the hospital bed. Jitsun Yuan exuded an overwhelming presence. Zhou, you really are such a good sister to me. My heart raced, and it took me a long moment to find my voice. I'll go find the doctor. Just as I reached the doorway, Jitsun Yuan's voice sounded again. Zhou, my footsteps halted as I slowly turned to meet his gaze. He looked at me. For a long while. Did you ever consider me as your brother? He asked. I just looked at him. Jitsun Yuan's gaze deepened, as if anticipating something. Even for a moment, did you ever have genuine feelings for me? I looked at the man on the bed. In the end, she lowered her eyes and murmured, I'm sorry, Jitsun Yuan, I've been using you all along. After all these years, exploiting you has become ingrained in my bones. All this time, there's only ever been myself in my heart. It seems I won't develop feelings for anyone else besides myself. I'll go find the doctor. The doctor told me that Jitsun Yuan is no longer in life-threatening danger, but still needs to remain hospitalized for observation. I nodded. Then I'll go home to get some things for him. After packing up Jitsun Yuan's personal belongings, I returned to the hospital, but Jitsun Yuan's hospital bed was empty. My heart sank, feeling hollow as well. A nurse's sigh came from behind. There was no life-threatening danger anymore. How could he suddenly pass away? I stood frozen in place, as if the entire world had lost connection with me in that instant. I don't know how long it had been, so long it felt like a century had passed. Suddenly, a familiar voice came from behind me. Zhou, my body stiffened as I slowly turned around. Jitsun Yuan came into view, leaning on a crutch and wearing a hospital gown. but why couldn't I see his face clearly? "Why are you crying?" he asked. I touched my cheek. It was wet. So I was crying after all. My throat felt both sour and burning. I opened my mouth, but it took a long moment before any sound came out. "I thought you were dead." Jitsun Yuen chuckled lightly. "Wouldn't that be better?" Tears completely overflowed at this moment. I could feel my lips trembling violently, my voice also choked with sobs. "No, that way, I wouldn't have a brother anymore. It's been 10 years, from now on, I'll cherish you as if you were my own grandfather." Yet Jitsun Yuen gradually permeated my world. He is my brother. I don't care if he was a pervert in his past life, or if he's a good person now. He is, and will always be, just my brother. Jitsun Yuen walked over with his cane, using his other hand to wipe away my tears. "Don't cry, big brother won't die. As long as you still need me, I'll always be by your side, protecting you." I nodded. Okay. Story 2. The nanny's daughter ran abroad while pregnant, and I covered all her living expenses. 5 years later, when she returned to the country, my husband, who was performing a heart transplant operation on me, slowly put down the scalpel with a low and hoarse voice. "Pause the operation, I'm going to pick her up." Due to the departure of the chief surgeon, I died on the operating table. Only after my death did I realize that they were the real male and female protagonists in the novel. And I was the cannon fodder supporting female character in the XX is on hold. I'm going to pick her up literature. They lived a happy and affectionate life on the bones of my body and at the cost of my whole family's lives. Fortunately, God has eyes, and I was reborn on the day the female protagonist ran away while pregnant. This time, I took decisive action immediately and cut off the financial lifeline of the male and female protagonists. What a joke. A gigolo and a green tea bitch actually have the nerve to stage the plot of the coquettish wife running away while pregnant and the domineering CEO's forced love in front of me. Pick. In this life, I will definitely make you two pick up poverty for the rest of your lives. Pause the operation, I'm going out for a while. Before losing consciousness, lying on the operating table, I heard my husband, Pei Xiaoyun, say these words. The nurse tried to stop him. "Dr. Pei. Miss Tang's operation can't be delayed." Pei Xiaoyun turned and walked out, saying coldly, "All she'll miss is just an operation. But Cece is returning to the country with the child. She's unfamiliar with the place. If I don't pick her up on time, she'll be scared." Without waiting for the nurse to say anything more, he opened the door and left. The last thing I saw was Pei Xiaoyun's tall and resolute back. I died during the heart transplant operation performed by my husband himself. After opening me up, he paused the operation to pick up Lin Cece, who had returned to the country. He was worried that she would be scared in a strange place, but he wasn't worried that I would die during the operation. On the verge of death, countless pieces of information flooded my mind. At that moment, I finally understood that my husband, Pei Xiaoyun, actually belonged to Lin Cece, because they were the male and female protagonists of this world, and I, Tang Shuyan, was just a cannon fodder supporting female character. No wonder such an extremely ridiculous thing as pausing the operation could happen to me. I laughed bitterly. In the last second before my consciousness dissipated, the overwhelming sense of absurdity briefly replaced my hatred. In the dark, a series of voices flashed through my mind. The board meeting is cancelled. I'm going to pick her up. The flight is cancelled. I'm going to pick her up. The operation is paused. I'm going to pick her up. I used to read such novels as entertainment, but now, I'd become the biggest joke. Lin Cece was the daughter of my family's nanny. She had lived in my house since she was 5 years old, and I had always treated her like a younger sister. 5 years ago, at my engagement banquet with Pei Xiaoyun, she got lost and accidentally entered Pei Xiaoyun's room while he was drunk, and they had a relationship. Not long after, she found out that she was pregnant. She was just 18 years old at that time, and there were still 6 months left before the college entrance examination, but she gave up her studies because of the pregnancy. I asked her who the father of the child was, but she refused to say. I asked her to have an abortion and continue her studies, but she also refused. She just kept stroking her belly and crying silently. He's also alive. I can't be so heartless as to abort him. I want to give birth to him. She had always been kind, not even willing to step on an ant. I also really liked this rare quality in her. Since I couldn't persuade her, I stopped trying. When she and her mother begged me to send her abroad to have the baby, I agreed. I let her live in my house abroad, and I covered all the expenses for her and her son's food, clothing, housing, and transportation during the 5 years they were abroad. From my perspective, I was just doing my best to help the younger sister I recognized. It wasn't until I died that I realized I was just a part of the male and female protagonist's love drama. On the day the pregnant female protagonist returned to the country, my role came to an end. The intense unwillingness made it impossible for me to rest in peace. Unexpectedly, after a flash of white light, I was back on the day Lin Cc ran away while pregnant. Sister Shuyan, thank you for coming to see me off. I'm about to leave, you must take good care of your health in the country. When I opened my eyes, I found myself at the airport, and in front of me was Lin Cc, the daughter of my family's nanny and the female protagonist of this world. Now, she was about to board a plane to the United States, with a 3-month-old fetus in her belly. It's so good to be reborn at this time. Seeing that I didn't speak, Lin Cc stepped forward and hugged me, saying sweetly, "Sister, I'll miss you." I resisted the urge to push her away, suppressed the surging nausea, and said in a low voice, "I'll miss you too, thinking about how to get rid of you, you ungrateful wretch." She took 2 steps back, pursed her lips, and said, "Sister, the person you mentioned will be waiting for me at the airport, right? I'm not familiar with the place, and I'm so afraid of getting lost." I forced a smile. "Of course, hurry up, don't miss your flight." "Of course not, this time, I won't offer her any help." She left, looking back every few steps, as if she really couldn't bear to part with me. But I knew that what she really wanted to see wasn't me, but my fiancé, Pei Xiaoyun. Pei Xiaoyun was actually here too, secretly watching her from the shadows. As soon as I left, they would have an affectionate and reluctant to part hug at the airport, so I pretended to leave. When they started their performance, I turned on the camera. "Why are you going abroad? Didn't I tell you to wait for me? Once my family's company stabilizes, I'll divorce her, and then I'll marry you right away. Stay by my side until then." "Okay, Sister Shuyan has been so good to me. How could I steal her fiancé? But I can't control my heart. I can't help but want to be close to you. To avoid hurting Sister Shuyan, I have to leave you." "No, don't leave me. I can't bear to part with you." "I can't bear to part with you either. But I have to leave." "Brother Xiaoyun, come find me when you're free." Such nice words. If she really didn't want to betray me, how could she have slept with my fiancé behind my back and gotten pregnant? Getting lost, being drunk, an accident. Getting lost from the first floor of the restaurant to the 3rd floor guest room and accurately entering Pei Xiaoyun's room and having an accidental relationship with the unconscious Pei Xiaoyun. Bullshit. "Sister Shuyan, I've already left the airport. Why isn't there anyone to pick me up? I can't get through to his phone either. Can you help me ask?" When Lin Cc called, I had just finished crying in my parents' arms. Although they didn't know what was wrong with me, they still tried their best to make me happy. Looking at the way they doted on me infinitely, I thought of their ending in the plot, and I felt even worse. My hands were shaking as I cried. So I originally wanted to hang up on Lin Cc, but I accidentally answered the call. "Okay, I'll help you ask. Just wait." I wasn't going to ask at all. I had already told the friend who was supposed to pick her up there not to go. Moreover, I had reported her bank card as lost. As for the house I arranged for her, "I'm sorry, but it's temporarily unavailable due to some problems." As for what the problem is, don't ask. It's just that she can't live there. I don't want to be a big fool anymore. If she wants to go abroad while pregnant, she can figure out how to live on her own. After hanging up the phone, I immediately turned on mute and then continued to cry in my parents' arms. In my previous life, after I died, Pei Xiaoyun quickly married Lin Cc. After my parents investigated, they found out that they had been having an affair for a long time. They went to confront Lin Cc on my behalf. "Shuyan treated you like a real younger sister. She gave you a share of everything good. You lived in our house for 13 years, and we never mistreated you. Why did you betray her? Why do you always call Pei Xiaoyun away whenever Shuyan needs him the most? Do you know that because of you, Shuyan died on the operating table?" Lin Cc cried even more pitifully than them. "I'm so sorry. I really didn't expect this. I'm also very sad that Sister Shuyan is gone. In the future, I'll take care of you on her behalf." As soon as she cried, Pei Xiaoyun felt sorry for her and stood in front of her to confront my parents. "What does her death have to do with Cc? If you want to blame someone, blame yourselves. If it weren't for you forcing me to marry her, I wouldn't have been separated from Cc for these 5 years. I don't love her at all. I only love Cc. I'm telling you, if you come to find Cc again, don't blame me for being rude to you." How could my parents be afraid of threats, since I died so miserably? They just wanted to avenge me. However, before they could start planning, something unexpected happened. Confidential documents of my family's company were stolen, and the data was massively paralyzed. The company encountered successive problems. The Pei Corporation, which had been nurtured by my family, took the opportunity to acquire my family's company. Not long after, one of my parents died in a car accident after failing to be rescued, and the other committed suicide by jumping off a building. From then on, the male and female protagonists lived a happy life together. I can understand that the villainous supporting characters have tragic endings, but neither I nor my parents have ever done anything bad. Why should we be given such a miserable ending? Is it just because we are supporting characters? I'm not willing to accept this. Since I've been reborn, I won't live in vain. What male and female protagonists? I will definitely make them pay the price. Pei Xiaoyun took leave and went to the United States. I wasn't surprised at all. Lin Cece couldn't get in touch with me, couldn't wait for the person to pick her up, and didn't know the address of my house in the United States. With her broken English, she wanted to find a hotel to stay in, but then she found that the bank card I gave her was frozen. She had no money, didn't understand the language, and was pregnant. After standing in the cold wind for several hours, she finally couldn't help but call Pei Xiaoyun, crying for help. Over the years, in places I didn't know about, she had always been like this, turning to Pei Xiaoyun for everything. When she was bullied at school, failed an exam, didn't bring an umbrella on a rainy day, had a stomachache during her period, or felt unwell with a fever or a cold, the first person she called was always Pei Xiaoyun. She would say things like, "I'm sorry for the trouble. I didn't mean to," but still keep troubling others, and Pei Xiaoyun fell for her tricks. This was the unique favor the female protagonist received. As long as the female protagonist asked, the male protagonist would immediately go to help her, no matter what he was doing. I called Lin Cece back only after Pei Xiaoyun left. The bank card, I don't know why there's a problem. Don't worry, I'll check it right away. Transfer money. Don't worry, I'll transfer it to you soon. The house, don't worry, you can move in soon. As for how soon, she probably won't be able to wait until then before she dies. Just thinking about her being alone in the United States now, huddled in a corner feeling wronged and scared, waiting for her male protagonist to save her, makes me so happy that I can eat an extra half bowl of rice. What's more, it's exactly what I want for Pei Xiaoyun to go abroad to help her, because today, my family's nanny, Aunt Lin, who is also Lin Cece's mother, will suddenly suffer a myocardial infarction. In my previous life, I sent her to the hospital in time and asked Pei Xiaoyun, the chief surgeon in cardiothoracic surgery, to perform the operation on her personally, which saved her life. I covered all her expenses during her hospitalization, hired a nurse for her, and visited her whenever I had time. But all my efforts only earned a lukewarm thank you from their mother-daughter duo. They were more grateful to Pei Xiaoyun. In the plot, Aunt Lin told Lin Cece that the reason she got sick was that she was too tired from working in my house, saying that my family exploited her. She also said that fortunately, Pei Xiaoyun was there, otherwise her life would have been in danger. She told Lin Cece to hold on to Pei Xiaoyun tightly. As long as she married Pei Xiaoyun with the help of the child, their mother-daughter duo wouldn't have to work so hard anymore. After all, Lin Cece was the female protagonist. On the surface, she still had some sense of right and wrong. She told her mother that she and Pei Xiaoyun were true lovers and would never use anything other than their true feelings to scheme against him. But right after saying that, she immediately bought a famous brand watch for Pei Xiaoyun to thank him for saving her mother. Oh, and she used my money to do it. In this life, since Pei Xiaoyun was called away by her, whether her mother can survive depends on her mother's own luck. Aunt Lin became a vegetable. When I told Lin Cece the news, she cried so pitifully. I deliberately told her the reason. As soon as I found out, I immediately sent Auntie to the hospital. I was trying to contact Pei Xiaoyun all the way. You know, he's the best cardiothoracic surgeon in the hospital. With him around, he could definitely save Auntie. But he took a leave of absence and kept ignoring my calls. I did my best to find the best doctor, but unfortunately, Cece, it's all my fault. If only I could have called Xiaoyun back. Lin Cece's crying paused for a moment, and she gasped in pain. I listened with great pleasure. When I called Pei Xiaoyun, she hung up on me and threw the phone aside. She sat on Pei Xiaoyun's lap and looked at him with teary eyes, begging him, just for today, can you only look at me and only listen to me? She succeeded. She should be happy, shouldn't she? As for Aunt Lin, to be honest, I wanted her to die. In the plot, after I died, my mother was heartbroken and cried every day while holding my photo. Aunt Lin deliberately showed off in front of my mother how good Lin Cece was to her. After all, it's all about fate. My daughter is kind, so she gets good rewards. She married a good man, gave birth to a son, and is loved by both her husband and her in-laws. She's so happy, unlike your Shu Yan. She must have done something immoral. She had poor health and couldn't have children, and she died at a young age, but in a way, her death was a good thing. At least it brought Cece and Xiaoyun together. They're true lovers and were wrongly delayed by Shuyan for several years. My mother was so angry that her whole body was shaking, and she told Lin's mother to get out of our house immediately. Lin's mother spat and continued to stab at my mother's heart. It's because of your temper that you couldn't give birth to a son, and the daughter you had also had a short life. Fine, I'll leave. I'll go to my son-in-law's house to enjoy a good life. You, on the other hand, can spend the rest of your life looking at your daughter's photo. She had worked as a nanny in my house for 20 years. When she was young, she was a victim of domestic violence. It was my mother who helped her find a lawyer to get a divorce, allowed her to live in our house with her daughter, provided the best educational resources for her daughter, and even didn't ask them to pay the tuition fees. My mother even planned to give her a retirement house after she retired. It's truly ridiculous and extremely hateful. Using her words, she can just lie in bed for the rest of her life in the future. Pei Xiaoyun has been in a bad mood recently, because Lin Cece is heartbroken and wants to calm down for a while. She even refuses to answer his calls. His beloved is in a foreign country, crying every day. How can he not feel? But Lin Cece doesn't want to see him. She can't accept that because of her, her mother became a vegetable indirectly, and she also blames Pei Xiaoyun for not being able to wake her mother up. But obviously, she blames me more. She said it's all because she was useless that her mother got sick from overwork. She said that if she had been by her mother's side, her mother wouldn't have had an accident. This is putting the blame for her mother's situation on me, so I proposed, then come back to the country. If you take care of her personally, maybe you can wake your mother up. She was taken aback and didn't respond. Of course she wouldn't. She is living in the house rented for her by Pei Xiaoyun abroad, and there is a special nanny to take care of her daily life. She doesn't have to do any work every day. She can just peacefully take care of her pregnancy and flirt with Pei Xiaoyun. With such a comfortable life, how could she be willing to come back to the country? What filial piety, indeed. Now the male and female protagonists are following the script of a deep and torturous love story. The female protagonist, because of my willfulness to see you, I indirectly harmed my mother. I can't forgive myself. Let's not meet again in the future. The male protagonist, this isn't your fault. If you want to blame someone, blame the Tang family, blame Tang Shuyan. If her family hadn't arranged such heavy work for Auntie, if they had discovered Auntie's discomfort earlier and sent her to the hospital earlier, if Tang Shuyan had arranged everything well for you abroad, none of this would have happened. The female protagonist, but if I hadn't asked you to come here to accompany me, maybe you could have saved my mother. It's my fault, all my fault. The male protagonist, no. It's not your fault. If Tang Shuyan had arranged everything well abroad, you wouldn't have looked for me. It's all her fault. Don't blame yourself. If she really felt guilty, where would she find the time to say all these nonsense about being sentimental? It's more important to come back to the country and stay by her mother's side. But Pei Xiaoyun falls for this. Every day, he accompanies Lin Cece on the phone and shares her sadness. I'm happy to see them unhappy, whenever I have time. I go to the hospital to bother Pei Xiaoyun. I watch him suffer and have to divide his attention to deal with me, yet he can't show his impatience. His tightly furrowed brows and the eyes that can hardly contain his annoyance bring me great pleasure. After pestering him for a while and forcing him to buy me several expensive gifts, successfully making him look haggard and lose 6 pounds, I stopped for the time being. Mainly, another important plot is about to come. I have to prepare in advance and don't have time to laugh at him. A special patient came to the hospital. His name is Qin Shen. Speaking of which, this person is indirectly related to my death in my previous life. I have congenital heart disease, and it's quite serious. In the later stage, if I don't have a heart transplant, I won't be able to survive. I finally waited for a heart donation. Just when I was about to have the operation, someone forcefully took away the opportunity. And that person was Qin Shen. Of course, he was able to get that heart with the help of the male and female protagonists. The reason was that Pei Xiaoyun told Lin Cece that I was about to have the operation. Lin Cece found out that her classmate Qin Shen also needed a heart transplant operation and had the same blood type match as me. So, she said the following words: Sister Shuyan's family is so rich, even if she doesn't have the operation for the time being, she can still be taken care of well and won't be in life-threatening danger. But Qin Shen is different. His family borrowed from all their relatives to scrape together the operation expenses, and he doesn't have a resident doctor to take care of him. If he can't have the operation in time, he is in danger of losing his life at any moment. He's really pitiful. If I were Sister Shuyan, I would definitely give this operation opportunity to Qin Shen. Pei Xiaoyun sighed at her kindness. If only Shuyan were half as kind as you. Lin Cixi came up with an idea. She gave my information to Qin Shen and asked him to wait outside my hospital room first. When I came out of the room, Qin Shen accidentally spilled peanut powder all over my face and body. I'm severely allergic to peanuts, and immediately, I had complications such as difficulty breathing and being on the verge of shock. In this situation, I couldn't have the heart transplant operation. In this way, I missed the first suitable operation opportunity and almost lost my life. Under the planning of Pei Xiaoyun and Lin Cixi, Qin Shen successfully had the heart transplant operation. After that, Qin Shen regarded Lin Cixi as his savior and became her most loyal admirer. In this life, on the pretext of not being ready yet, I gave up this operation opportunity in advance. So tomorrow is the day for Qin Shen to have the operation. I'm really looking forward to it. Before Pei Xiaoyun entered the operating room, I did two things. The first thing was to take photos of the gifts Pei Xiaoyun gave me before and send them to Lin Cixi. I told her in a happy tone that Pei Xiaoyun and I were getting married soon. The second thing was to tell Pei Xiaoyun that Lin Cixi wasn't feeling well in her stomach. Then I went to the adjacent department for a routine physical examination. When I finished the examination and came out, I heard loud crying. It was Qin Shen's family. His operation had failed. Actually, it couldn't really be called a failure. Just like in my previous life, after being given anesthesia and having his abdomen opened, Pei Xiaoyun, as the chief surgeon, paused the operation for love and ran away. The subsequent doctors couldn't immediately take over, and the patient had massive bleeding and couldn't be saved. And I was in good physical condition and could receive the operation. The hospital immediately began to persuade me to accept the heart transplant. Otherwise, this heart would be wasted. I agreed without hesitation. These days, I have been doing preoperative preparations and adjusting my physical condition, all for this day. In fact, I know that having the operation is risky, but I can only take a gamble. I know my physical condition. The longer I delay, the more dangerous it will be. Moreover, since God gave me a chance to be reborn, I don't believe He will take it back so soon. Before I entered the operating room, my parents came. They held my hands and told me not to be afraid. Your father and I will be waiting outside for you. My dear daughter, you are about to welcome your new life. I held their hands tightly. Dad, Mom, with you here, I'm not afraid at all. When I fell into a coma, I felt very at ease. My parents had already made full preparations for this day. The doctor was an expert, not some protagonist, and wouldn't pause the operation halfway for any reason. I didn't sink into darkness but found myself in a white world. In the air in front of me, my past life was being played out. I was weak, pale, but cheerful, with excellent grades and good popularity. I learned to play the piano, the cello, and draw, and I did quite well in all of them. In my short 27 years of life, I held a concert and an individual art exhibition. I inherited my parents' business acumen in my genes and also had a talent for investment. It can be said that if I weren't a supporting female character, if I didn't need to set off the protagonist's life, if I hadn't met Pei Xiaoyun and Lin Cixi, my life might have been short, but I would definitely have been very fulfilling and happy. Instead of being loved falsely, being deceived sincerely, being stabbed in the back by a friend, being betrayed by a lover, and dying miserably on the operating table, I think maybe God also thinks that someone as bright as me shouldn't have lived such a dark life. That's why I came back to life and even knew the plot of this world in advance. I think the meaning of my rebirth is to change the fate of myself and my family. It must be like this. Shuyan, Shuyan, can you hear your father and mother's voices? I can hear them. This is a day of great joy for everyone. My operation was a complete success. I'm very happy. And so are my parents. When they were happy, they directly invested 20 million yuan in the hospital, and the hospital was also happy. Lin Cixi is also happy because she found that although she and Pei Xiaoyun had a torturous love affair for a while, she is still the most important woman in Pei Xiaoyun's heart. As long as she says a word, Pei Xiaoyun will still go to her side without hesitation. Pei Xiaoyun is equally happy, because the woman he loves has finally forgiven him. He no longer has to pretend to be affectionate in front of me and can embrace the woman he loves deeply and be his true self. But, how could I let them be happy for too long? If they are all well, how can that be allowed? So, Pei Xiaoyun received 2 phone calls. You've been fired, you're being sued. There are also a few surprises that he doesn't need to know about personally, which I prepared for him. The hot searches are as follows. Genius doctor pauses operation to meet his girlfriend overseas. Pei Xiaoyun, a cardiothoracic surgeon at XX hospital, disregards human life. Pausing the operation midway results in the patient's death. Is it the loss of humanity or the degeneration of morality? Then Qin Shen's family did a live broadcast. In the live broadcast room, they accused Pei Xiaoyun of ignoring their son's life and pausing the operation to go abroad to meet his girlfriend, and they made the whole thing very clear. It's not in vain that I prepared the manuscript for them in advance. What a joke. I experienced it personally, so who can write it with more genuine feelings than me? The victim's family sued Pei Xiaoyun for intentional homicide, and the lawyer I hired in advance will handle this lawsuit for them for free. Then, the hospital where Pei Xiaoyun works issued a dismissal statement, a condemnation statement, and a lawsuit document. The general idea is that Pei Xiaoyun is the one who did such heartless things. After the hospital found out, it tried its best to rescue the patient but failed. The hospital decided to fire this doctor who lacks medical ethics and suggested revoking his practicing qualification certificate so that such a person can't continue to harm society. The hospital will fully cooperate with the victim's family to safeguard their rights and interests and will file a lawsuit against Pei Xiaoyun for his dereliction of duty, damage to the hospital's reputation, and causing a serious medical accident. In short, Pei Xiaoyun's name became famous overnight. Netizens from all walks of life who uphold justice began to take action. These days, any uncivilized trash can become a doctor. Pause the operation, go to meet his girlfriend, damn it. Does he think he's the male protagonist of a novel? Such a doctor doesn't deserve to be a human being. What's the difference between pausing the operation and disregarding human life? Wait, hasn't anyone noticed? The name of the doctor involved is Pei Xiaoyun. It's the same as the fiancé of the daughter of Fenghai Group. I remember the fiancé of the Fenghai Group's daughter is also a doctor, right? Is it a coincidence? It shouldn't be the same person, right? The news said that this guy paused the operation to go abroad to meet his girlfriend. But the daughter of the Fenghai Group had the operation in the country, didn't she? Becoming a doctor was Pei Xiaoyun's dream. His family actually also has a group company. After all, he is the male protagonist, and the company is of a considerable size. It's just that the author set some difficulties for his family's company to increase the drama and plot conflict. He got engaged to me because he wanted to seek the help of my family, at the current time point. His family's company is indeed being sustained by my family. As soon as this medical accident happened, the stock market of his family's already precarious company became even more unstable and was on the verge of collapse at any moment. So, without having time to get intimate with Lin Cece, Pei Xiaoyun flew back in a hurry again. The first thing he did was to come to me. There are two reasons for this. First, I used to be infatuated with him and would help him unconditionally. It had always been like this before. My family's company is a leading company in the country. If my parents speak up for him, others will more or less give them some face. He really has high hopes, but he doesn't know that I guided and brought all this about. He pretended to be affectionate in front of me for so long, so of course I have to pretend a bit too. Xiaoyun, don't worry, I will definitely ask mom and dad to help you. Moreover, I believe you're not that kind of person. Your dream is to save lives, so how could you pause the operation halfway and go abroad to meet some girlfriend? They must be spreading rumors. As your fiancé, don't I know you? Just wait, I'll explain it for you right away. He opened his mouth several times but couldn't say anything. His face just turned slightly pale. It doesn't matter, I'll make his face even paler later. I acted as if I was deeply in love and posted a status without thinking. This is simply nonsense. This is spreading rumors. As Dr. Pei's fiancé, I didn't go abroad, so how can it be said that he went abroad to meet me? Because the person he went abroad to meet wasn't me. He loves his job so much that he would never do something like leaving the patient during the operation. Don't talk nonsense without evidence. Hurry up and show the evidence. As long as he's wronged, I will firmly stand by his side and support him. If he's not wronged, I'll make him pay. The powerful netizens, the hired water army, didn't let me down. In less than 10 minutes, they successively released the evidence that slapped me in the face, videos of Pei Xiaoyun hugging and kissing Lin Cece, who was pregnant, in the United States, as well as a censored video of them being intimate in the living room, and the video I took before of them hugging at the airport, which I specifically muted, because otherwise, Lin Cece's words would sound a bit more reasonable in terms of values. And I can't whitewash her. Your fiancé is about to have a child with another woman, and you're still kept in the dark. Then came the video of the whole process of Pei Xiaoyun pausing the operation and leaving. Sigh. I'm actually happy to be slapped in the face for the first time. Someone tagged me and asked, he's not wronged, so will you still support him? Support him? No way. I immediately broke off the engagement with him. And my parents also withdrew the investment in his family's company. Businessmen are very shrewd. Seeing that my family had given up on the Pei family, they naturally wouldn't cooperate with them anymore. Those who had been eyeing the Pei family began to stir again after confirming that my family wouldn't help them. Lin Cece called me to explain that what happened between her and Pei Xiaoyun was just an accident. He was drunk and mistook me for you. That's why that happened, Sister Shuyan. Whether you believe it or not. I never meant to betray you or compete with you. That's why I came abroad alone as soon as I found out I was pregnant. As long as you and brother Xiaoyun are happy, I'd rather never come back to the country. Look, she's treating me like a fool, but I still have use for her, so I'll play along with her for now. I gave a look to the new nanny in the house, and she cooperatively shouted, Miss, young Master Pei and his parents will arrive in half an hour. They said they want to discuss your wedding. I curled my lips into a malicious smile. Cece, thank you for telling me this. Since that's the case, I'll forgive him this once. When I marry him, I'll raise your child for you. That's it, he's coming soon, and I'm going to see him. Before she could say anything, I hung up the phone. Lin Cece, don't let me down. Pei Xiaoyun's parents repeatedly pressured him to come to our house to apologize. Aiming to save their family's company by maintaining our engagement, since my parents were firm in their stance and wouldn't give in, their bottom line kept getting lower and lower. First, they said they could give me 15% of their family's shares. Then they suggested that Lin Cece could give up the child custody and leave while the child stayed with us. Later, they were even willing to let Pei Xiaoyun become a live-in son-in-law. Pei Xiaoyun was very good at pretending. He looked extremely regretful, saying the same things as Lin Cece and begging for my forgiveness. Last week, I told him I needed some time to think and made an appointment to meet him today, mainly because something was going to happen today. After hanging up the phone with Lin Cece, I went to the living room to play the piano, with no intention of dressing up at all. Ode to Joy really lived up to its name. Half an hour later, I received a message from Pei Xiaoyun, Shuyan. Cece isn't feeling well in her stomach. I'm worried something might happen to her, so I have to go and check on her. Don't worry, I'm only going to see her because of the child. Since you can't have children, this child will be ours in the future. I ignored him and continued playing Ode to Joy. More than 30 minutes later, I received a call from the private detective I hired, Miss Tang. After Pei Xiaoyun received a call and left on the way, his father, Pei Donghai, got so angry that his asthma flared up. He passed away before the ambulance arrived. I made a sound and asked, what about his mother? She fainted and has been sent to the hospital. Wow, that's so pitiful, but it's nothing compared to what I went through in my previous life. In my previous life, knowing that I couldn't have children, they said they didn't mind to my face, but behind my back, they constantly made sarcastic remarks, knowing that I couldn't stand the sight of blood. They often came to our house and ordered the nanny to kill chickens in front of me, saying things like hens that don't lay eggs deserve to die and are only good for making soup. Pei Xiaoyun's mother even advised me, it's not that you can't have children, there's just some risk. Who doesn't face risks when giving birth? Dying to have a child would be worth it. Pei Xiaoyun's father directly told him, just find a woman outside to have a child. She can't say anything. Besides, how long can she live with that weak body of hers? Have a child and raise it outside first, then bring it back when she's gone. We can't let our family line end. When they learned that Lin Cece had given birth to a healthy grandson for them, and that he was a child prodigy, they eagerly hoped that I would die soon so they could bring their grandson home. Once, on my birthday, I hoped Pei Xiaoyun would spend it with me, but he suddenly went abroad again, leaving me alone at home. Maybe because of crying, my heart disease flared up. Coincidentally, Pei Xiaoyun's parents were there. I thought I was saved, but they just stood there and watched, even deliberately kicking away the phone I was going to use to call for help. If it hadn't been for a kind-hearted nanny who secretly called 120, I would have died long ago. Sadly, that brave and kind nanny never appeared again. I'm much kinder than them. I didn't deliberately try to kill them. I just knew that Pei Xiaoyun's father had asthma and that he attached great importance to today, desperately hoping to finalize my engagement with Pei Xiaoyun. So when Pei Xiaoyun went to see Lin Cece regardless of the overall situation, he must have been extremely angry. Anger can easily trigger an asthma attack, and his medicine was in Pei Xiaoyun's pocket. Pei Xiaoyun was in such a hurry to see Lin Cece that he forgot to take it out. It's all Pei Xiaoyun's fault, isn't it? I specially went to the hospital to offer my condolences to Pei Xiaoyun's mother. While she was grieving, I told her, "Auntie, let's never mention my marriage with Pei Xiaoyun again. I've seen clearly that he and Lin Cece are true lovers. I'll let them be together." Then, with a seemingly sad expression, I turned and left as she clutched her chest, on the verge of fainting. Pei Xiaoyun's mother had a bit of an Oedipus complex. In the original plot, she was even jealous of Lin Cece for vying for Pei Xiaoyun's attention. Now that she had lost her husband and her son was neglecting both his father's death and the family company for a woman, how could she tolerate it? Of course she couldn't. Next, let them sort things out among themselves for a while. On the day the Pei Corporation declared bankruptcy, Pei Xiaoyun's mother beat her chest in grief, fainted several times, and was sent to the hospital. Pei Xiaoyun, who used to be a doctor and never cared about the family business, was now overwhelmed with handling the aftermath, and blisters had formed at the corners of his mouth. However, this was not the end. With her husband gone, Pei Xiaoyun's mother now only had her son left. She was like a frightened bird, waking up every day and demanding to see Pei Xiaoyun, insisting that he stay by her side. Since she clung to Pei Xiaoyun, Lin Cece wasn't happy. She kept calling, saying she had a stomachache or a headache, demanding that Pei Xiaoyun go and accompany her. But this time, she didn't succeed. It wasn't that Pei Xiaoyun didn't want to go, it was that he simply couldn't. Over the past 6 months, he had lost his job, been sued by Qin Shen's family, and had to pay a large sum of money in compensation. Then his father died, and the company went bankrupt. One thing after another happened, leaving him with no money and no energy to travel abroad. More importantly, he could no longer afford Lin Cece's expenses abroad, so, instead of him going abroad, Lin Cece returned to the country with her pregnant belly, looking dejected. On the first day she was back, Pei Xiaoyun left his sick mother to pick up Lin Cece, in a fit of anger. As soon as Lin Cece entered the house, Pei Xiaoyun's mother grabbed her hair and slapped her several times. "You little slut, it's all your fault. If it weren't for you, our family wouldn't be in this mess. What a jinx you are. How dare you enter my house, get out." During the scuffle, Lin Cece fell down. This fall led to an early birth. In the previous life, Pei Heshuan, that child prodigy who could read without going to school, master the world's most advanced hacking techniques without ever learning about computers, was supposed to be born in the best hospital in the United States and receive the best care. Pei Heshuan, who at the age of 5 alone was able to steal confidential documents from my family, tamper with important data of my family's company, causing the company to collapse within a short time, the one who cut off the power supply in my father's hospital room when my father was being rescued after a car accident, resulting in the failure of the rescue, the one who used hacking techniques to project the images of my father and me in front of my mother late at night, driving her to commit suicide by jumping off a building out of collapse. He was born on an ordinary day, 2 months before his due date, in an ambulance. I had been waiting for him, this devil. So, although I had been avoiding Pei Xiaoyun's mother, we accidentally met at the hospital. As soon as she saw me, she grabbed my hand and poured out all her grievances, saying that I was the only daughter-in-law she recognized in her heart. I deliberately said some ambiguous things, making her think that I still had feelings for Pei Xiaoyun. Her eyes lit up, and she promised that she would never let Lin Cece enter their house. "Good child, wait for Xiaoyun a bit longer. I can tell that he still has feelings for you. Wait until I deal with that little slut, and I'll welcome you into our house in grand style." I neither agreed nor refused, remaining non-committal. Then, through the mouth of a doctor, I let her know that my health had improved greatly and that there was no problem with me having children. Her expression immediately became complicated. In her eyes now, Lin Cece was clearly a curse, causing her son to lose his job, break off the engagement with me, leading to the bankruptcy of their family company, and even causing her husband's death. Most importantly, she was always competing with her for her son's attention, even though Lin Cece had given birth to a grandson for her. It couldn't reconcile their relationship, but I was different. I was the daughter of the richest man. It seemed that I still had feelings for her son, and the only issue she had with me before, my health, was now resolved. So, what would she do? I lowered myself to become an option, not because I really wanted to be chosen, but simply because I didn't want them to have an easy life. It turned out that the fighting power of the female protagonist's mother-in-law was on par with that of the female protagonist. In the following 2 months, I received the latest gossip about the Pei family from the private detective every day. Lin Cece refused to live with Pei Xiaoyun's mother, so they rented separate houses. Lin Cece lived with Pei Xiaoyun, while Pei Xiaoyun's mother lived with the child. Pei Xiaoyun went out to work to support the family. And the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law each used their own methods, calling Pei Xiaoyun every day with various excuses, asking him to come home and accompany them, trying to prove their importance in his heart. When Pei Xiaoyun was with Lin Cixi, his mother would feel unhappy and always disrupt their private time. If Pei Xiaoyun was with his mother, Lin Cixi would either be sick or sad, claiming that she couldn't get better without him. In 2 months, Pei Xiaoyun changed more than a dozen jobs, all of which he was fired from. No company could afford an employee who left at will like him. After 2 tormenting months, Lin Cixi's birthday arrived. To avoid being disturbed by Pei Xiaoyun's mother, she begged Pei Xiaoyun to take her out on a date before dawn. When Pei Xiaoyun's mother went to their place with the child but couldn't find them, she started calling Pei Xiaoyun, saying that the child was ill and asking him to come back immediately. Lin Cixi finally couldn't hold back and exposed Pei Xiaoyun's mother. You always use the same excuses, either you're not feeling well or Hechuan is. When is it ever real? You're so old. Can't you take good care of a child? We just want some private space. Why do you have to keep interfering? When Pei Xiaoyun's mother heard her speak like this, she immediately started arguing with her. You little bitch, how dare you talk to me like that? Weren't you the one who used these tricks to seduce my son in the first place? Stop pretending. Lin Cixi couldn't stand being scolded, so she started crying, and when she cried, Pei Xiaoyun would comfort her, naturally forgetting about his mother and the child. Many things happened due to countless coincidences. Because Pei Hechuan was born prematurely, his health had always been poor. Pei Xiaoyun's mother didn't take good care of him, making him even weaker and more prone to illness than ordinary children. It was cold and rainy that day. Pei Xiaoyun's mother went out early in the morning with the child to find Lin Cixi. When she couldn't find them and had to turn back, she got caught in the rain. Still angry, she was even less willing to take care of the child. She left the child in bed and went out to chat with others, and on that day, the glass in the room where Hechuan was sleeping suddenly shattered. What would happen to a child who was already weak, having been caught in the rain and exposed to the wind? When Pei Xiaoyun's mother came back, she found that Hechuan's face was flushed and he was too weak to cry. She called Pei Xiaoyun again, saying that the child had a fever and wouldn't stop crying. Pei Xiaoyun was still with Lin Cixi and didn't come back. They didn't take the child to the hospital until they returned home after their date. When Pei Xiaoyun came to my house to borrow money, I was just about to leave with my bag, planning to go on a trip with my girlfriends. He looked at the million-yuan bag in my hand, and his face twisted for a moment. Shuyan, just lend me 1 million yuan, I'll definitely pay you back in the future. I took a few steps back and then waved for the security guards to push him away. What are you talking about? You don't even have a job. How are you going to pay me back? Get out of here, don't delay my trip. When he saw that I was really about to leave, he panicked immediately. Shuyan, I haven't married Lin Cixi yet. I heard from my mother that you still have feelings for me. As long as you lend me 1 million yuan, I can break up with Lin Cixi and get back together with you. He put on an expression of making a difficult decision. This 1 million yuan can be considered as living expenses for them. I won't see them again in the future. I couldn't help but laugh. Looking at him coldly, I said, even if you're trying to sell yourself, you should consider your own worth. I don't recycle garbage. I won't lend you money. And I don't want you. You make me sick. Leave me alone. As I got into the car, he was still in disbelief. How could this be? You should still like me. The headquarters of my family's company moved to a new city. We downsized several business sectors, got rid of some corrupt employees, and also opened up new business channels. My parents and I bought a new villa and settled in the new city. Everything was moving in a better direction, except that my parents started looking for new potential partners for me again. We had completely broken away from the original plot and were no longer supporting characters in someone else's story. Now, it was the male and female protagonists who were trapped in the plot. It all started 3 years ago. Pei Xiaoyun was reborn, or rather, he regained the memories of his previous life. After recalling his past life, he didn't hesitate to kick Lin Cixi out, abandoning even the child, and then kept pestering me, admitting his mistakes and begging for forgiveness. I was extremely annoyed. I casually set a trap and sent him to prison. Pei Xiaoyun's mother came to see me several times. Each time she failed to meet me and was chased away. Before long, she fell seriously ill and died alone in a rented room. Then, Lin Cixi unexpectedly also awakened to the plot. She even dared to provoke me, saying that her son would become a genius hacker in the future and that she could live a good life even without Pei Xiaoyun. She never even considered that if the child was truly okay, why would Pei Xiaoyun, who knew the plot, give him up? It was because Pei Xiaoyun, as a doctor, had already seen that the child wouldn't become the genius child in the original plot, living in such a beautiful fantasy. She waited until Pei Heshuan turned 3 years old, only to find that the child was different from ordinary children. Both his physical and intellectual development were abnormal. A visit to the hospital revealed that the previous high fever and illness had indeed affected Pei Heshuan. He became cerebral palsied. Lin Cece couldn't accept that her genius son had become like this, unable to walk or speak, only giggling and drooling all day, or suddenly becoming irritable and screaming. She went crazy, often talking to herself, saying that she was the female protagonist and her son was a genius, and things shouldn't be like this. After learning that she had gone mad, I stopped paying attention to her. I knew very well that she was like a daughter flower that could only survive by clinging to others. At first, she relied on me, then on Pei Xiaoyun. Without Pei Xiaoyun, she thought she could rely on her child. When she found that no one she could rely on could support her anymore, her fate was to rot in the mud. No one knew that during the days when Pei Xiaoyun wasn't in the US with Lin Cece, every meal she ate was specially prepared by me, or rather, it was the first gift I specially prepared for Pei Heshuan. The second was the artificial rainfall that day, which took a lot of effort on my part. The third was teaching the naughty children nearby to break that glass. Pick. Pick, pick. In this life, I will definitely make you two pick up poverty for the rest of your lives. The fifth was giving them some special offers during Pei Xiaoyun and Lin Cece state, trying my best to keep them from going back too soon. I didn't want to get my hands dirty with blood, but I also couldn't let him become the devil in the plot, so I created countless coincidences to prevent him from becoming that genius. Fortunately, I succeeded, in the end. It took me 10 years to acquire all the novel hosting websites, not for anything else, but to put an end to manuscripts with distorted values similar to the plot of this world. I have plenty of money and just want to be willful. Story 2. I traveled back 10 years, to the day when my husband confessed his love for me. Overjoyed, I finally seized the opportunity. This time, I'm determined to help Jiangbei marry a wealthy and beautiful woman, propelling him to the pinnacle of life. I went back to that afternoon 10 years ago in high school, when Jiangbei confessed his feelings to me. Thank heavens, I, Jiangqing, am willing to mix meat and veggies for a lifetime. Oh no, I mean strictly veggies. In gratitude for your great kindness, my eyes sparkled as I fixed my gaze on Jiangbei, who was concentrating on his work. No wonder he looks so handsome even when he's studying. He's like a limited edition campus husband, missing a single glance is a loss. Jiangbei, also known as Comrade Jiang Xiaobai, is a well-known campus heartthrob, my high school desk mate and childhood friend. We joyfully went through elementary, middle, and high school together, and even got married in the future. He's perfect in every way, handsome, distinguished, excellent in academics, and a decathlete. Aside from being a bit cold and reserved, he has no faults, truly a heart-stealer. Unfortunately, in my past life, for some reason, he fell for me and, just like that, we ended up getting married. We had 3 years of happiness in those 10 years, the rest of the days were nothing but terrible. In this lifetime, I must ensure Comrade Jiang Xiaobai's happiness. I stared at Jiangbei thirstily for a long time, until he seemingly felt it and slowly turned around. Our eyes met. With a bang, he suddenly fell off his chair. Me, seriously, are my eyes that terrifying? I'm getting a bit angry now. According to my memory, today, after class, when only Jiangbei and I are left on duty, he will make a heartfelt confession. He would typically kneel with flowers in hand, passionately saying, "Qing Qing, my darling, please be with me. I truly love you so much," and such. This cold senior officer would never actually do that. Instead, as we were cleaning the blackboard together, with an unruffled expression, he casually said, "Jiangqing, I like you, would you consider me?" If I hadn't seen his tightly clenched fist, his ears flushed red, and the rag in his hand dripping with water from his tight grip, I might think he was asking me, "Jiangqing, have you eaten?" Such a pure and simple way to confess. Comrade Jiang Xiaobai, you're incredible. I always thought it was just me who had a crush on him. Turns out, it was mutual. But this time, I won't let the story unfold as it should. I'm going to tear up the campus love script with Comrade Jiang Xiaobai and help him marry a wealthy beauty, leading him to the pinnacle of life. After all, there's no happy ending for Comrade Jiang Xiaobai and me together. I'm Jiangqing, loved by everyone, a delight to flowers, a positive, sunny, and healthy beautiful girl. 3 years after marrying Comrade Jiangbai, I was diagnosed with an elegant and hereditary disease called ALS. I don't know if it's related to the father I've never met. Simply put, the disease causes muscles to slowly atrophy and then gradually lose life. The moment I found out, I was shocked. I always felt that marrying such a good husband as Jeongbai couldn't be because I traded my life for it. It might just be true. I was still worried about the 7-year itch with Comrade Jeongbai, but now it looks like I might not even live to see our 7th year together. Light a candle for myself. Fortunately, thanks to Comrade Jeongbai's meticulous care and my relentless efforts, I made it to our 10th year of marriage. Then I faced the greatest challenge that has existed since time immemorial: childbirth. There was no way around it. In the years I've been declining in health, it has become increasingly obvious that Comrade Jiang Xiaobai was forcing a smile. I was genuinely afraid that after I was gone, he might do something drastic out of despair. Anyway, I was bound to leave this world sooner or later, so I wanted to try my best to leave him a child for some solace. Turns out, I overestimated myself, once again. I light a candle for myself. The past is dark and irretrievable, but the road ahead is bright and splendid. Fortunately, fate was kind, giving me a chance to make it up to Comrade Jiang Xiaobai. I must quench this budding flame of love before it grows any stronger, snuff it out in its cradle, and scatter the ashes. The means and methods of the act are debatable, but first, I need to get past the immediate hurdle. In the empty classroom, only Jiangbai and I remained, to avoid a confession scene. I immediately moved away from the podium and sent Jiangbai alone to erase the blackboard. I quietly watched his figure standing in front of the blackboard, tall, upright, and slender. Even his blackboard erasing is as beautiful as a painting, truly worthy of being my husband. Little did I know, Jiangbai was quick and efficient, cleaning the blackboard in no time and then turning to grab a broom. I hurriedly moved to the other side of the classroom, putting distance between us. Pretending to be deeply focused on sweeping, while sweeping, a pair of white shoes appeared in front of me. Oops, it had to be Jiangbai. Pretending not to see, I turned to sneak away, but Jiangbai stopped me with a soft call. Jiangqing. I reluctantly raised my head, meeting his indignantly handsome face. He was about to speak, and my pupils dilated. Wow, isn't the sky beautiful today? Don't you think so, Comrade Jiang Xiaobai? Jiangbai looked where I pointed, at the unremarkable dusk sky. Still, he humored me with a He was about to speak again, and my pupils dilated once more. Wow, this floor is really clean, don't you think so, Comrade Jiang Xiaobai? Jiangbai. But he humored me again with a After a few repetitions, Jiangbai fell silent. He took some candies out of his pocket. I saw them and thought, great, my favorite bubble gum from the store at the gate, now discontinued, darn it. To accept or not to accept, after we graduated. The manufacturer of this candy had closed down. It was only after I got sick and brought Jiangbai back to our alma mater to reminisce about campus life that I realized I couldn't get this candy anymore, and I'd been craving it for years. Darn it, I gave in. I tore open a strawberry-flavored wrapper and quietly started chewing. Still the familiar taste, so sweet. Jiangbai smiled. As he was about to speak again, I quickly tore open a watermelon-flavored one and stuffed it into his mouth. I'm too smart. This intelligence of mine. I should be getting a script for a palace drama. He was slightly taken aback. I said, try blowing a bubble. Funny, back in the day, Jiangbai always struggled to blow bubbles and was teased by me for a long time after we got married. Little did I know. Jiangbai quietly chewed a few times and easily blew a bubble. Well done, Jiang Xiaobai. They say a man can change greatly in just 3 days. Were you just pretending all those years? I was utterly shocked. But don't think I can't handle you anymore. I clapped my hands in praise. Wow, Jiangbai, you're so skilled. Blow another one. Wow, this bubble is so perfect. Let's make another. Comrade Jiang Xiaobai got lost in himself amidst my constant praise, creating bubbles one after another. Men, as Jiangbai continued his efforts to blow another large bubble, I secretly pinched my face to adjust my expression, and said with a smile brimming with laughter, Jiangbai, I have some good news for you. I've fallen for someone. He's in our class, a really good person, and I like him a lot. With a pop, the bubble burst. Jiangbai looked at me, his expression somewhat bewildered. After a moment, he looked down at me and said softly, I didn't quite catch what you just said. I said, I've fallen for someone. I tried to give him a radiant smile. Jiangbai didn't react for a moment. He seemed as if someone had hit the pause button, trying hard to process what I had just said. After a while, he murmured a low, Then he slowly smiled and said, That's great, Jiangbai's right little finger twitched slightly. That was a sign he was lying, so I had made my confession, but in the following days, I could still feel Jiangbai's gaze on me growing longer and more intense. As if he had never seen me before in his life, it seemed he hadn't fully let go. After all, matters of the heart are indeed hard to break off. I pondered over it. Time and a new love seemed to be the most effective tools. I couldn't wait for time, so a new love was my first choice. I silently turned my head, looking towards Lu Yuanyuan. Not far away, Jiangbai was like a magnet for admirers, with countless girls at our school fond of our comrade Jiang Xiaobai, but among them, Lu Yuanyuan was definitely among the top contenders, a great beauty, with a good family background, excellent in her studies, gentle, caring, and talented. Most importantly, I heard in my past life that she remained unmarried for so many years, silently waiting for Jiang Xiaobai, deeply in love. Originally, after learning about my illness, I wanted to set her up with Jiangbai, but he firmly rejected the idea. But now, the situation was different, the timing, the conditions, and the people were all aligned. Sister Yuanyuan, you have good taste, and I will temporarily entrust Jiang Xiaobai, such an outstanding comrade, to you. I thought to myself coolly, feeling a bit sour inside. Ah, lemons on the lemon tree, and beneath it, just me. I planned to get closer to Lu Yuanyuan. From what I remember, in a few days during the exercise break, some girls from other classes who were jealous of Lu Yuanyuan would lock her in the restroom and splash water in from outside. This had caused quite a stir at the time, but then it quietly settled down. So, during the next few days' exercise breaks, I kept a close watch on Lu Yuanyuan's every move. Finally, today, I saw her heading towards the restroom, followed by a few girls. I secretly followed them, and by the time I arrived, Lu Yuanyuan was already trapped in a stall, helplessly beating on the door, her voice tinged with sobs. The girls outside blocked the door, laughing and mocking her. A bucket filled with water at their feet, seemingly ready to throw it inside. What kind of school violence is this? It made me furious. I quickly took a few seconds of video with my prepared phone, then grabbed a mop standing by the door and went in, hitting earnestly and without holding back. The girls were caught off guard and tangled up with me. With no one blocking the door, Lu Yuanyuan got out, unexpectedly. She didn't run away, she cried and helped me. The scene was chaotic until we heard a distinct roar. What are you all doing? The female disciplinary officer stood at the door, glaring at us. Lu Yuanyuan and I, along with a few other girls, entered the disciplinary office. The disciplinary officer was someone I had asked a classmate to summon in advance. Calmly, I showed the officer the video on my phone, and then Lu Yuanyuan explained the situation. The girls could only watch as the undeniable evidence unfolded before their eyes. Considering I appeared to be quite injured and had acted righteously, the disciplinary officer did not pursue the matter of my having a phone, merely giving me a verbal warning before sending me to the medical office. As soon as I left the office, I encountered Jiang by leaning against the corner of the staircase. It was during class time, and the hallway was empty except for the two of us. Without even thinking, I knew I must look a mess, with hair like a bird's nest and clothes all torn. Not to mention the bruises and red marks all over my body. I felt guilty, like a child caught red-handed, nervously fiddling with the hem of my shirt. In the silence, Jiangbai slowly walked up to me. He took off his school jacket and draped it over me. His movements were gentle, as if I were some fragile, precious porcelain that could crack at the slightest touch. I heard his voice tremble as he said, "Jiangqing, can you please take better care of yourself?" His voice choked up a bit, making my heart skip a beat. I looked up to see him staring at the fresh, striking scratches and wounds on my hands, his expression filled with sorrow. It was as if the pain inflicted on me was somehow transferred to him. That single look was startlingly painful. Even the fight hadn't hurt this much. Feeling somewhat panicked, I forced a smile and said, "It's okay, Comrade Jiang Xiaobai, it doesn't hurt at all." Their punches felt like kitten scratches. "Jiang Xiaobai, why do you look so stern like an old man? Smile a bit, smiling makes you look younger." Jiang Xiaobai, Jiang bye. But no matter how I tried to lighten the mood with my playful banter, Jiangbai remained silent. Seeing my pitiful state, Jiang Xiaobai coldly said, "I don't smile because I was born not loving to smile." He silently carried me to the medical office, silently helped me apply medicine, and silently carried me back. I lay on Jiangbai's back, absent-mindedly watching the soft light coating him and his hair. The lazy sun cast long shadows of us together. As I fixated on our shadows, my heart was in turmoil over Jiangbai's demeanor. Suddenly, I noticed our shadows had stopped. Jiangbai suddenly halted and turned to ask me, Jiangqing. Who is the person you like? My eyelid twitched, my mind racing. In a moment of panic, I blurted out, Li Zhuxin, who held the prestigious seat beside the teacher's desk, was known as the class ruffian. Overwhelmed by my attentiveness, she incredulously asked me, Jiangqing, has the sun risen from the west today? Are you out of your mind? Turning away from Jiangbai, I replied with a forced smile, barely audible, just take it and keep quiet. I stealthily glanced at Jiangbai with the corner of my eye and saw him staring intently at us, his grip tightening around the pen he was holding. The thrilling sensation of flirting in front of my husband. Knowing Jiangbai as I do, I understand that at his core, he is a proud man. He would never pester a woman who already has someone she likes, especially after witnessing this scene. Suppressing the bitterness in my heart, I pretended to be indifferent and continued chatting with Li Zhuxin. Suddenly, the class monitor walked in and announced, everyone, our annual autumn outing is about to begin. Instantly, the classroom erupted into cheers and excited shouts. I thought to myself, the autumn outing would be a great opportunity to bring Jiangbai and Lu Yuanyuan closer together, since forming a comradely bond during our last side-by-side battle. My relationship with Lu Yuanyuan had progressed rapidly, and I had come to realize what a genuinely nice girl she is. Considering her a true friend, if she and Jiangbai ended up together, I would sincerely bless their union. This year's autumn outing destination was an ancient town, a well-known local scenic spot. As we set off, Jiangbai, being the class monitor, was seated at the front of the bus to check attendance. Lu Yuanyuan and I sat together, just as I was about to pretend to be carsick to switch seats with Jiangbai, letting him sit with Lu Yuanyuan to foster their relationship. Lu Yuanyuan suddenly stood up. She said to Jiangbai, class monitor, I'm feeling a bit carsick, could we switch seats? Oh no, despite all my calculations, I hadn't considered Lu Yuanyuan getting carsick. Jiangbai nodded and came over to me. I grinned and teased, oh, look who's here to join the fun. Jiangbai replied indifferently, I'm a bit short on cash recently, how about we just play with 5 yuan? Darn it, Jiangbai, you've changed, you weren't like this before. As the bus slowly started moving, the scenery outside began to change. Our classmates chattered away, and suddenly someone suggested we draw lots to decide who would tell a story. The little app randomly selected students, who racked their brains to come up with the most bizarre stories, causing bursts of laughter. I laughed so hard I was bending over backward, and then it was my turn. As expected, what goes up must come down. The topic was to create a short story based on The Little Prince, starring the Little Prince and the Fox, incorporating themes of sobbing, regret, and bond. Well, those words suggested a melodramatic script. After gathering my thoughts under the eager gaze of my classmates, I cleared my throat and began. When the Little Prince was young and exploring planets, he met a little fox. They spent a delightful time together but soon parted ways. Years later, the Little Prince remembered the little fox he had accidentally met long ago, with whom he had formed a bond. He wanted to know how the fox was doing, so he set off to find him. But when the little prince returned to that planet, he only found an aging, weary old fox. The little prince realized that the brief bond they had formed in just a few months had left the fox waiting in pain for his return all his life. Holding the fox, the little prince sobbed uncontrollably, filled with regret. He should never have so casually entered the life of a fox. He had tamed the fox, only to leave him. He wished they had never met at all. With the story concluded, comments filled the air in the train compartment. Ah, poor little fox, boo-hoo-hoo, sis give you a hug, hope I never encounter that, what a sin, I feel like the little prince is such a jerk in this story, too tired to love, boo-hoo, there goes a 40-meter-long sword. I returned to my seat, smiling at Jiangbai. I did a good job telling the story, didn't I? Come on, praise me. Jiangbai seemed a bit saddened by the story too, but seeing my enthusiastic demeanor, he smiled and applauded. Very well done, but maybe, just maybe, the little fox did it willingly. If given another chance, the fox would make the same choice. I chuckled and said, but if they had never met, the little fox could have lived a happy life without any pain. Why meet the little prince and start suffering? Jiangbai, do you know, in our future, you were only truly happy for a few scattered years. I fell ill, and you alone bore the burden of expensive medical bills and the heavy responsibilities of our family, even giving up your career prospects to take care of me. And after I died, while my soul hadn't fully faded, I watched you mourn by my grave, living under the shadow of my death, suffering year after year. You could have had a happy, beautiful family, and an enviable life full of joy, but your remaining years were spent mourning my death. Even the heavens pity you. Giving you a chance to choose again in this life. I've already held you back a lifetime. I can't be so selfish to hold you back another. Pretending to be tired, I closed my eyes and leaned back in the chair. Jiangbai, at least this time, I must let you find happiness. By then, I might just be a stranger in your world. Silently, I will watch you move towards a bright future, watch you find new love, watch you build a beautiful family, and then I will smile peacefully as I pass away. And you won't need to remember me, you just need to move forward, don't look back. Unaware, I fell asleep on the bus. When I got off, I noticed my classmates looking at me with a hint of amusement. Li Zhuxin quietly came up to me and gave me a thumbs up. Jiangqing, you're awesome. Me, you fell asleep on the bus and kept calling Jiang by husband while hugging his arm, crying and shouting. Me, help, this is a disaster. Li Zhuxin added in detail. Jiang Bai's ears were bright red. And it took him a long time to calm you down before you finally slept peacefully. Now I know why Jiang Bai's ears were so red. It turns out I was harassing him. I was so embarrassed I could hardly breathe, wishing I could just disappear into a crack. Lu Yuan came over to comfort me. Qing, it's okay, it was just a dream. I wanted to cry. After the group gathered to listen to the guide talk about the basic culture of the old town, we were allowed to explore in groups of 4, me, Lu Yuan, Jiang Bai, and Li Zhuxin ended up in one group. Help, what a mess. The old town was beautiful, filled with ancient charm, decorated with many elements of ancient style. There were distinctive ethnic shops and stalls on both sides. Rich in cultural atmosphere. Along the way, Lu Yuan pulled me along, laughing and talking, while Li Zhuxin and Jiang Bai followed behind, silent. Suddenly, Lu Yuan, clearly interested, pulled me over to a stall. Upon closer inspection, I saw that the stall had a sign reading wishing pouches. Below it, in small brush-written characters, all your wishes will come true. The stall was lined with rows of tiny, thumb-sized silk pouches, exquisitely cute and available in various colors. Each was delicately embroidered with the word wish, the craftsmanship impeccable. The stall owner greeted us warmly, and seeing that the prices were quite reasonable, we each decided to buy one without much hesitation. With a bright smile, the owner handed us paper and a pen, explaining, write your blessings inside this pouch, hang it on your mobile phone, and your wishes will surely come true. After all, good days come from hopeful beginnings. Struck by inspiration, I suggested, since we're all gathered here by fate, why don't we write blessings for each other? Everyone agreed happily. Lu Yuan seemed to blush slightly, thinking of something. I playfully gestured to Li Zhuxin, saying, Li Zhuxin, let's write together. Li Zhuxin, no, I have this chilly feeling behind my back. It's kind of creepy. Me, of course, I couldn't tell you that it's because Jiang Bai is staring at you with a cold gaze. Suddenly, Li Zhuxin said, Lu Yuan, why don't we write together? Without hesitation, Lu Yuan agreed. Sure. I was baffled. Darling, this was a perfect opportunity for you and Jiang Bai to get closer. Just then, Jiang Bai slowly pulled me aside and said softly, Jiangqing, let's write for each other. Remembering the look in Comrade Jiang Bai's eyes just now, I nervously nodded in agreement. The owner cheerfully handed us small slips of paper and a pen. As I picked up the pen, I hesitated. On my deathbed, I had said to Jiang Bai, I really hope we could grow old together, living a long and lasting life. Now, after some thought, I solemnly wrote on the slip, wishing Comrade Jiang Bai a harmonious marriage, a smooth life, and endless happiness. As the black ink seeped into the paper, I carefully rolled up the slip, placed it in the pouch, and exchanged it with Jiang Bai. Then, I carefully hung the wishing pouch Jiang Bai gave me on my mobile phone. The ancient town was filled with so many novelties. Eventually, Lu Yuan and I switched into full shopping mode. Jiang Bai and Li Zhuxin followed behind us, carrying bags both big and small without complaint. The result of such indulgence was that as soon as we got on the return bus, I was completely exhausted and fell asleep on Jiang Bai's shoulder, all the way back to school. Fortunately, I didn't talk nonsense in my sleep this time, but the real excitement was yet to come. The joy of the autumn outing was fleeting, and the pressure of studies was eternal. Chewing on the end of my pen, I was completely stumped by the exercises in front of me. After all these years, my high school knowledge had long been returned to the teachers. I approached Li Zhuxin for help with the exercises, and he rolled his eyes. Come on, big sis, see if my king's seat is good enough. Why don't you go find Jian the scholar? me. I had specifically waited for Jiangbai to be called to the teacher's office before coming to you. Li Zhuxin sighed, you and Jiangbai have been off lately. If you want to avoid him, then go find Yuan Yuan, calling me big sis and her Yuan Yuan. Suddenly, it dawned on me, right, how could I forget Sister Yuan Yuan? I immediately planned to ditch Li Zhuxin, but he also grabbed a workbook, saying, I have questions too. Meeting my incredulous gaze, he sheepishly said, what, only you're allowed to strive for excellence and not me. Me, man, something's off with you. Together. We went over to Lu Yuan Yuan's seat, but as she saw us approaching, she immediately covered her face, seeing her unusual behavior. I asked in confusion, Yuan Yuan, what's wrong? Are you feeling unwell? Upon hearing this, Li Zhuxin's tone also turned anxious. What happened? Where do you feel uncomfortable? Do you need to go to the infirmary? The moment he spoke, cheers erupted around them. The class representative explained. Lu Yuan chose dare and has to hug the first boy who talked to her for 10 seconds. Lately, the students in the class had become hooked on the quick and exciting game of truth or dare. As soon as it was break time, groups formed to play, filling the air with laughter. Suddenly, Li Zhuxin blushed and stuttered. Is that so? Lu Yuan nearly shrank into herself like an ostrich, amid the teasing from the classmates. At the crucial moment, Li Zhuxin awkwardly and as if marching to his doom, bent over and gently hugged Lu Yuan, then said, Alright, I urgently need to go to the bathroom, let's end it here. Watching him flee the scene, I couldn't help but scoff. Li Zhuxin, who usually acts all high and mighty, just couldn't handle it when it mattered. As the classmates were setting up another round, Lu Yuan slowly lifted her head, her face red, and said, I'm out, you guys continue. Oh come on. We were just having fun, keep playing, Yuan, forget it, look at how shy Yuan is, let's not force her, maybe someone else can take her place, it's no fun with fewer people. Hey, Jiangqing, are you in? I was about to refuse, but Lu Yuan was tugging at the hem of my clothes, looking at me with pleading eyes. Me, alright then. I took Lu Yuan's place in the game. A pen was placed on the ground, and whoever it pointed to was the unlucky one. The first few rounds were uneventful, but you can't walk by the river without getting your shoes wet. Eventually, the pen pointed at me. Calmly, I said, I choose dare. Truth or dare is never truly about truth. Drawing a card, profess your feelings to your desk mate in 10 heartfelt sentences. Me, is it too late to drop out now? I silently prayed that Jiangbai would come back later. Ideally, the teacher would keep him until after class before he returned, but, lo and behold, Jiangbai appeared at the classroom door a few minutes before class. As soon as the Dare Games hero appeared, the whole class fell silent. I nervously stood up from my seat. My heart began to pound faster and faster, as if thousands were drumming loudly inside it, the sound loud and urgent. It felt like countless birds swooping over the sea at high speed, all soaring towards the sky, followed by a towering tsunami that engulfed me, leaving me struggling to breathe in the sea, in the silence. Jiangbai walked towards me. I was somewhat dazed, almost seeing his figure overlapping with the college student Jiangbai we would be together in the future, the Jiangbai in his wedding suit, and the Jiangbai who takes off his coat and gently smiles at me after work. Finally, Jiangbai stood in front of me. He quietly asked, Jiangqing, why is your face so red? Is my face red? I slowly realized, feeling as if my face was on fire. It's okay, it's just confessing to my husband again. Damn it, it's not okay at all. I swallowed, trying to pinch my fingers behind my back to keep calm, and said with a trembling voice, Comrade Jiang Xiaobai. He gently hummed in response. I bowed my head slightly, trying to appear indifferent, but my voice trembled uncontrollably. I like you. I really like you. I like you very much. I like you a lot. You're my favorite. In this world, you are my absolute favorite. I like you the most. I really, really like you so much. I couldn't tell if my voice was choked up. I just kept speaking, feeling a mix of excitement, sadness, and sorrow swirling inside me. I tried my best to keep my expression normal and my tone steady. A torrent of love threatened to overwhelm me, my feelings deafeningly intense, but I had to mask them under the guise of a joke. I could only use the simplest of sentences to encompass a love that once vividly existed, which now only I knew about, a love that spread throughout my life. The whole class erupted, with whistles, cheers, and applause mingling and soaring endlessly. It was then that I heard Jiangbai's gentle voice, firm and clear, I like you too. My heart skipped a beat, and I suddenly looked up to meet his clear gaze, which only reflected my figure. The bell rang just in time, drowning out his voice. This was a confession heard only by the two of us. Throughout the class, I couldn't calm my emotions for a long time. In contrast, Jiangbai next to me was extremely serious during the class, taking neat notes, which made me feel both relieved and somewhat resentful. Just when I thought this matter had quietly passed, and I was about to hastily flee from my seat after class, Jiangbai caught me. Jiangbai, where are you going? Me. To ask a question, Jiangbai, ask me, me, oh. Suddenly I need to go to the bathroom, Jiangbai, I'll go with you, darn it. With things having come this far, there was no escaping anymore. I resigned myself and sat back down honestly. Jiangbai looked at me and slowly said, you heard what I said just now, didn't you? I pretended to be oblivious. What did you say? It's about me saying I like. I heard it, I hastily replied. My heart just having calmed down couldn't start racing again. Jiangbai quietly watched me. So, what do you think? I struggled to say. Jiangbai, I like someone else. The things I said just now, it was because I lost at truth or dare. I don't mind. You like him, I like you. Jiangbai's tone was light, as if commenting on the nice weather, but his right pinky twitched fiercely. What if I said I've always seen you as just a buddy? Jiangbai's smile froze on his face. Jiangbai, why do you have to demean yourself like this? A pang shot through my heart, and I forced a smile. Jiangbai, think about it. There are so many girls who like you. Why hang yourself on a crooked tree? You can't give up a forest for one tree. Jiangbai shook his head, looking straight at me, his tone even carrying a hint of pleading. They are all nice, but they are not you, she said. Sigh, what do you see in me? I'm noisy, restless, and have a bad temper. Jiangbai cut me off, his tone firm and unequivocal. You are perfect in every way. I wouldn't choose them. I would only choose you. I clenched my fists, lowered my head, my nails digging into my flesh. Finally, I spoke softly, but I won't fall for you. You're not my type. Jiangbai turned pale in an instant. He tried to muster a smile, but it was like a candle flickering weakly in the storm, struggling to stay lit. I can wait for you. Just remember that I like you. Don't feel burdened by this. I just want to be by your side. That's enough for me. I really won't bother you, truly. Whenever you think of me is fine. His eyes reddened as he spoke gently, cautiously. Is that okay? Seeing his appeasing smile and his unconsciously trembling hands, my heart was filled with a bitter sweetness. Jiang Xiaobai, how could I harden my heart again to say no good? If only I weren't plagued by a genetic illness. If only I could stay healthy and be by your side throughout life. How wonderful that would be. Pain spreads between us, scorching us both. This conversation ends in nothing but mutual destruction. Just then, Lu Yuanyuan came to my rescue, looking embarrassed. She said, Qingqing, I need a favor from you. Lu Yuanyuan took me to the rooftop. Yuanyuan, did you say you like Li Zhuxin? Lu Yuanyuan hurriedly gestured. Qingqing, keep your voice down. I quickly covered my mouth, catching her shy, evasive eyes, feeling like the world was spinning. Wait, isn't this going off script? What about your undying love for Jiang Xiaobai? Your devotion to no one else but him. I thought I was playing matchmaker. Turns out I'm trying to break you two apart, thinking of Li Zhuxin's usually irreverent and carefree demeanor, and Lu Yuanyuan's gentle, demure nature. I was shocked. Yuanyuan, what do you see in him? In a soft voice, Yuanyuan said, Qingqing, do you remember those girls who bullied me? Not long after that happened, I saw Li Zhuxin threatening them, telling them to behave and not to hurt me again. He looked so cute when he was fierce. She giggled softly, a girlish charm about her. I fell silent. Li Zhuxin doesn't usually meddle in others' affairs. Could it be that they both secretly have feelings for each other? And in my previous life, the bullying Lu Yuanyuan faced was also quietly resolved. Could Li Zhuxin have been involved then too? Right, I remember. There was no news of Li Zhuxin getting married in my past life either. I feel like I've uncovered a significant secret from my past life. But, it seems like he doesn't like me. Lu Yuanyuan's eyes slowly reddened. He wouldn't even hug me more today. Does he, perhaps, really dislike me? Maybe he stood up for me just because we're classmates. Oh no, the beautiful girl is about to cry. I hurriedly said, of course not. He's not blind. How could he not like such a cute girl like you? What if he really doesn't like me? Then he must be truly blind. Lu Yuanyuan, sobbing, wiping her tears, Lu Yuanyuan said. I want to ask him out to talk. But I'm afraid he won't agree if it's just me. Qingqing, can you and Jiangbai come along? Me? That's a bit difficult. Lu Yuanyuan, with a look of pitiful hope. Alright, for my sister's sake, it's not impossible. 3 days later, me, Lu Yuanyuan, Jiangbai, and Li Juxin stood at the entrance of the amusement park, the same old formula, the same old battleground, but with entirely different relationships. When riding the roller coaster, Lu Yuan, ah, Li Juxin. Ha 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 ha, me, woohoo, Jiang Bai. When in the haunted house, Li Juxin, please don't scare me anymore, I beg you, Lu Yuan, it's all fake, don't be scared, me, child's play, not thrilling enough, we could add some fake blood here. Hang a dummy there, Jiang Bai, Ching, don't wander off, be careful not to get lost. When playing the escape room game, Lu Yuan, it's hard to find the props, Li Juxin, where is this clue, and where is that one, me, my brain can't keep up, someone help me, please, Jiang Bai, I'm on it. Before we knew it, it was already evening, Halloween is just around the corner, and the amusement park is fully immersed in the festive spirit, adorned with pumpkin lanterns, skeletons, and other spooky decorations everywhere. There are various NPCs and performances organized throughout the park. Li Juxin and Lu Yuan are having a blast and want to stay for a performance before heading home. She winked at me subtly, and I quickly understood, taking Jiang Xiaobai with me to step outside, giving them some time alone. The streets are bustling with people, their faces painted, wandering around in all sorts of bizarre and ghostly costumes. Jiang Xiaobai and I aimlessly wander through the chilly wind. Suddenly, a girl walking towards me catches my eye with the star-shaped lamp she's holding. The palm-sized, three-dimensional star emits a soft, warm glow in her hands, looking like a gentle little star held amidst the darkness. Following my gaze, Jiang Xiaobai spots the lamp and looks around, then points to a small stall on the right side of the street, saying, "It looks like it's from there. The area is crowded." But Jiang Xiaobai tells me, "Wait here for me. I'll go get one for you." I obediently stand still, watching him make his way through the crowd, his white down jacket and handsome face standing out. As he is paying, a girl dressed as an elf approaches him with a bright smile, gesturing animatedly at him with a lively and radiant demeanor. It seems Jiang Xiaobai smiles back and chats with her. Many people turn to look at them, naturally drawn by the attractive picture they make together. I watch this scene quietly, then send Jiang Xiaobai a message. "Jiang Xiaobai, I want to wander around by myself for a bit, don't worry about me." I think it's good for Jiang Xiaobai to meet other girls since Yuan has someone she likes now. I wander aimlessly and somehow end up back where Lu Yuan and Li Juxin are watching the performance. Unexpectedly, in just a short time, they are already holding hands. Seeing me, Lu Yuan quickly lets go. Me, sorry to interrupt, as I turn to leave. Lu Yuan rushes over to stop me. Me, I didn't see anything. Lu Yuan, it's okay if you did, I confessed to Li Juxin, and he agreed right away, happy as a fool. I laughed too. Really, congratulations, Yuan, young people these days sure move fast. Yuan, all smiles, suddenly says to me, Ching, you need to hurry up too. Me, I sincerely wish you and Jiang Bai the best. I awkwardly smile, about to speak, when Lu Yuan gestures for silence and whispers, Ching. Don't worry, Jiang Bai definitely likes you. Do you remember that autumn trip? Li Juxin told me that when you fell asleep on the bus, you talked in your sleep, asking Jiang Bai, "Honey, what should we name our child?" And Jiang Bai tenderly replied, "Let's call them Yuan, something full and complete." After that, I couldn't hear anything else Lu Yuan said. It felt like I had been struck by lightning, standing there stunned. The world around me seemed to wobble. As I was transported back to that moment, "Honey, what should we name our child?" Lying in the hospital bed, I asked Jiang Bai, who was leaning on my belly listening to the baby's movements, gently caressing my belly. Jiang Bai smiled and said, "Let's call them Yuan, something full and complete. As a family, we lived our lives well." It felt as if my oxygen was suddenly snatched away, and I struggled to breathe deeply. Suddenly, I noticed the wish pouch tied to my phone. Intuition told me that the truth of everything lay here. All the absurd doubts and guesses in my heart could be resolved in the moment I untied it. With trembling hands, I slowly opened the pouch and pulled out a small piece of paper. Because my hands were shaking so much, the paper fell to the ground several times. I squatted down to pick it up and slowly unfolded it. The handwriting of Jiang Bai Shuling came into view. "I hope to grow old with Jiang Qing, to live a long and lasting life together." This was my last wish before dying. This was not a wish that the current Jiang Bai should know about. Suddenly, tears uncontrollably surged up, and I stood up and rushed outside, my eyes blurred with tears. Scenes flashed before my eyes, the bubble gum Jiang Bai gave me, his sudden ability to blow bubbles, his focused gaze watching my wounds, the sadness while listening to the Little Prince story. "Jiang Qing, can you take good care of yourself? They are fine, but they are not you. I like you too. I don't mind. You like him. I like you. I just think being by your side is enough. It's all I need. I really won't disturb you, really, whenever you think of me. It's okay, okay. Maybe the little fox would willingly choose this. If given another chance, the little fox would make the same choice. I ran until I was exhausted, panting heavily, but I gathered all my strength and kept running forward without care. Jiangbai's figure appeared before me. He was waiting for me at the designated place, holding a bright star lamp, standing alone in the crowd, waiting persistently. I rushed into his arms, tears streaming down. Jianbai was startled, and frantically asked what happened, what was wrong. I pressed his head down and kissed him passionately amid the tears. He was taken aback, then kissed me back even more fiercely, hugging me as if he wanted to merge me into his bones. I said, "Husband, let's never be apart again." Something cold dripped onto my face. It was Jiangbai's tears. Like a child, he cried uncontrollably in that moment. As you wish, wife, extra. Previous life. In the 4th grade of elementary school, we got new neighbors next door. A young couple moved into the new house with a fair and delicate boy, about my age, curiously standing at the door. I saw the boy struggling with a large cardboard box about to fall, and quickly rushed to steady it. Our eyes met unexpectedly behind the cardboard box. And I gave him a sweet smile. The beautiful woman next to him sighed in relief, wiping the sweat from her forehead, and smiled warmly at me. "Oh, little sister, thank you so much," she gently said to the boy. "Jianbai, aren't you going to thank her?" His name was Jianbai. I stared at him intently, thinking to myself how incredibly fair he was. Unexpectedly, Jianbai quickly concealed the surprise on his face, becoming distant and indifferent as he lightly said, "Thank you." The woman showed a look of disappointment, but still smiled to comfort me. "Little sister, Jianbai didn't mean it. Don't be mad at him." It was only later that I learned, 3 months before moving, Jianbai had witnessed his beloved grandmother being fatally struck by a drunk driver right in front of their home. The tragic accident had dealt a heavy blow to Jianbai. Since then, Jianbai no longer wanted to get close to outsiders. His parents decided to move to help him escape that environment and bury those memories. At that time, I was unaware of all this. I just thought, wow, he's so cool and aloof, and he's really handsome too. Being so young, how could I resist such beauty? I flashed a big smile and said carelessly, "It's okay. He's so cool and different from anyone I've met." Jianbai. Zhang's mother said cheerfully, "Really? Then you should come and play with Jianbai more often. I hope you two can become good friends." The cultured and refined Zhang's father also smiled and gently asked, "Little sister, what is your name?" I proudly replied, "Jiang Qing." Jiang is in the general hiding in the bushes. Qing is in the grass that's very green. Zhang's mother burst into laughter and said, "That's a very creative introduction." Zhang's father also laughed, and then said mysteriously, "Together with Jianbai, your names could form an ancient poem." He recited slowly, "In the early morning alone by the tower, the autumn clarity washes over, mountains green, clouds playfully shaping. As the breeze begins with Jianbai, the heart follows the leisurely sandbirds, eyes watching the sailing ships, facing the scene, thoughts linger on people, gazing across 1,000 miles." Zhang's mother playfully scolded, "There goes the university professor." Caught up in his old habits again, they exchanged a smile. Later, I indeed became a frequent visitor to Jianbai's home. Life was tough for my single mother and me. Zhang's parents were very understanding of my mother's difficulties, so whenever she couldn't look after me, they warmly welcomed me to their home. Over time, our families naturally grew close. Jianbai and I naturally became classmates. After all, the only elementary school nearby was the one I attended, and fortunately, Jianbai ended up in my class as I had hoped. At that time, Jianbai's aloof, distant demeanor intimidated many classmates and sparked much gossip. Luckily, I was talkative and thick-skinned, ignoring others' strange looks and staying by Jianbai's side. I knew that Aunt Jiang and Uncle Jiang hoped Jianbai would have friends. I also hoped that by doing so, I could help him open up a bit, even just a little, to repay their kindness. After all, I liked Jianbai a lot. On our way to and from school, Jianbai walked in silence, and I would keep talking. When doing homework together, I would gently ask him about problems I couldn't solve. If any boy in class dared to challenge Jianbai, I would stand up to them fiercely. Whenever my mom bought me new snacks, I would share them with Jianbai. Time seemed to fly by. Then one day, Jianbai asked me, "What's the point of doing all this?" I was puzzled and asked, "Point?" Jianbai quietly said, "A person can suddenly leave forever. just like my grandma did. Jiangbai has always been a smart kid, grandma's little darling. His kind grandma, who would gently stroke his head and give him snacks, had suddenly left without any warning. He knelt beside his blood-soaked grandmother, crying heart-wrenchingly, repeatedly calling, "Grandma, wake up, please wake up." But he knew clearly that his grandmother would never wake up again. What about the other people around him? If you build deep connections time and again, only to have them leave time and again, and experience that sorrow over and over, what's it all for? It was too painful. He didn't want that. He was precocious, facing the painful realities of life and death at a young age, yet, he was also naive, not knowing how to cope with it all. I didn't understand why Jiangbai would ask such a question, but I felt I needed to respond. Otherwise it would be too awkward for him, so I said, "Well, my dad has left me forever. He was a policeman and died in the line of duty while my mom was still pregnant with me. I know it's impossible, but I always fantasize about meeting him just once. It wouldn't be a long meeting. We'd probably only exchange a few words, just enough for him to see what I look like. It would be great if he could hug me. I know it's unrealistic, and that meeting wouldn't change anything. Probably wouldn't mean much either. No matter what, my dad is gone. And all I can do is take good care of my mom, study hard, and later on, take her out to enjoy good food and fun times. Why think so much? Just cherish the present. If you're sad about your grandmother's death, I'm here for you, right? I should be able to live a very long time." I rambled on, but Jiangbai ultimately didn't say anything. However, the persistent coldness in Jiangbai's heart eventually began to fade layer by layer. At that time, Jiangbai wondered if some people, despite knowing the end, still yearned to meet. He thought he and Jiangqing could go a long way, for a long time, but time seemed to pass quickly, and adversity struck unexpectedly. The joy of confessing his feelings successfully, the sweet reluctance of being deeply in love, the cherished promises made at their wedding, the considerate partnership in running a family, those wonderful days were vivid in his mind, making the diagnosis particularly bitter. He was a doctor. Fully aware of how incurable Jiangqing's illness was, originally, he wanted to be a doctor to lessen the grief of being separated by life and death in this world. He saved many people, yet ironically, it was because he was a doctor that he now realized more clearly that his beloved, in the prime of her life, would soon leave this world. Night after night, he reviewed countless documents, secretly consulting numerous doctors with Jiangqing's medical records, though the outcome was clear. He tried to overturn everything he had learned, just hoping for a slim chance for his beloved, and as Jiangqing ultimately passed away during the first snow, leaving with their child into an eternal sleep. The vast world turned uniformly white. People cheered for the auspicious snow, but his world lost all its color. Later, Jiangbai curled up in front of Jiangqing's grave during a heavy snow, resting his head on the cold tombstone, gently murmuring, "Didn't you say you would be with me for a very long time, Jiangqing, you liar?" Indeed, that was the case. Every scene evokes a person. We gaze across 1,000 miles. Jiangbai often thought, if there really were a next life, would their story be different? If he could see Jiangqing again, if there were ifs. Jiangbai's eyelids grew heavy, and the snow fell thickly upon him as he closed his eyes wearily. "Now, solve this problem. You have 5 minutes, a robust voice announced. Jiangbai suddenly opened his eyes. He looked up dazedly. The stern math teacher stood at the podium, and a high school workbook lay before him. His classmates were all writing furiously, the surroundings eerily silent, everything so real it seemed unreal. Jiangbai could only hear his own racing heartbeat. He sat rigidly, unable to move, fearing to disturb a beautiful dream. He rigidly stared at the math problem in front of him. If this were high school, then the person who would be sitting next to him now would be Jiangqing. His eyes suddenly moistened. He silently took a few deep breaths, trying to calm his trembling body. It felt like a century had passed before he slowly turned his head to meet the intense gaze of the girl next to him. Those eyes, which he hadn't seen in a long time, were clear and focused on him. For a moment, Jiangbai wanted to hug her tightly, but his excitement caused him to fall off his chair instead. Bang! Laughter erupted around the room, and the classroom atmosphere suddenly became lively. There were concerned voices from classmates and teachers, but Jiangbai seemed not to hear them. Those sounds felt distant. All he saw was Jiangqing's bright smile. "Jiang Xiaobai, am I that scary?" Side story. "In this life, what, doctor? You're saying it's impossible for me to have ALS. Could you repeat that?" I stared wide-eyed, incredulous and a mix of shock and joy as I looked at the female doctor. The female doctor said impatiently, "You've asked too many times. We have professional medical equipment and doctors. If you don't believe it, you can go to another hospital for another check. But I assure you the result will be the same," she sighed. "Do you think you're opening a mystery box? ALS isn't something you can just randomly get." When Jiangbai led me out of the hospital, I was still in a daze. Jiangbai gently shook my hand. "Snap out of it," I blankly said. "Jiangbai, how is this possible? Did we not only travel through time but also transform completely, or do we have some sort of superpowers? This world is too fantastical." Jiangbai shook his head. "I'm not sure either. Maybe we've come to a parallel world where you don't have the genetic disease. Or perhaps it's some other cosmic mystery that we can't understand." He smiled. "But regardless, this is good news for us. We should cherish the present." I nodded vigorously. "You're absolutely right." As we walked down a sparsely populated path lined with ginkgo trees and covered in golden leaves, I felt uplifted by the beautiful scenery and too lazy to think about complicated matters. I became excited. "Wow, Jiangbai, I just thought. What if the university entrance exam questions in this world are the same as back home? If they are, we could really hit the jackpot. But I can't remember much. Can you?" I regret not paying more attention to lottery information in my past life. Maybe I could have won a few billion by now and just relaxed for the rest of my life." "Jiangbai, do you still want to be a doctor in this life? Or do you want to try a different career?" "I definitely won't choose last year's major again. It's like repeating high school. I definitely want to change it." Jiangbai. I talked on and on while Jiangbai held my hand and quietly listened. "Jiangbai, be honest, were you jealous when I said I like Li Zhu Xian?" I leaned against his arm and blinked at him. Jiangbai flicked my forehead and coughed lightly, his eyes dodging. "Not jealous." I expressed dissatisfaction. Really, that makes me so sad." Jiangbai lightly chuckled and coughed again. "Okay. Maybe a little, just a little. That still makes me so sad." I suddenly pulled away my hand and huffed loudly. Jiangbai stopped walking, looking around. There was no one in sight. Suddenly, he pulled me into his arms and kissed me. I embraced him willingly, savoring the tender, lingering kiss. It seemed as though a breeze swept by, scattering ginkgo leaves all around us. When we parted, a few leaves had fallen on our heads. We laughed as we brushed the leaves off each other and then continued walking hand in hand. Jiangbai looked at my blushing ears and teased, "Even after all these years, a kiss still makes your ears red." I retorted, not without displeasure. "And after all these years, you still get jealous without admitting it." Jiangbai chuckled. "Alright, I admit, I do get very jealous." At that moment, he thought, even if Jiangqing really fell for someone else, he would be content to silently stay by her side. He was only afraid that someone might not treat her well and let her down. He also worried that someone might not know how to care for her when she was ill, possibly abandoning or hurting her. The idea of his treasure in someone else's hands was always nerve-wracking. He feared they might handle her carelessly. He always felt that he was the best protector for her. Fortunately, he was still the one by her side. The road stretched out before them. They had a long life ahead to walk together. Jiangqing suddenly spotted a small orange cat ahead and excitedly ran over to crouch down, giggling foolishly as she softly said, Hey kitty, what are you doing here all alone? You might run into weird sisters like me, you know." The cat meowed affectionately and lazily rubbed against Jiangqing's legs, making her scream excitedly at Jiangbai. Jiang Xiaobai. It's so cute." Jiangbai watched this scene from a distance, his heart warmed by a gentle, enduring softness. Jiangqing waved at Jiangbai with a smile and called out, "Jiang Xiaobai, come here, quick." Jiangbai smiled softly and walked towards her, saying gently, "Yes, coming." No matter how time changes or circumstances evolve, the little fox always waits for that person to return, just like them. As long as she is there, he will always walk towards her.